This is Jeff from Mid-Atlantic Craps, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Not my YouTube channel, it's a Casino Gaming TV. I tell you what, guys, last minute annex here has just been incredible. We've got a room full of Zoom people. We've got people as guests on the show tonight. We've got more people here than I think we've had since probably ever. Anyway, let me bring in my co-host here, Dylan from Feeling Luck. Dylan, how are you doing tonight? Oops, pushed the wrong button. How you doing tonight? There you go.
I'm doing good. I'm just saying happy future Halloween to everyone. So that's coming right around the corner.
But Halloween Eve, that it is. I see you dressed up for the occasion like me.
Only the best.
Oh, room full of guests. You saw some of them that were here. We're going to talk to them in just a little bit. The main person we have today is we have Chuck from CRAPS. It's going to be our first guest with us to talk about some CRAPS stuff. So we hope that goes well as well, because I know you're a CRAPS user.
Yes.
But in any event, I think I've got the wrong date scrolling across there. I do have the wrong date scrolling across there, but we just canned that. So anyway, Dylan, I haven't talked to you all week. Talked to you a little bit yesterday. Everything's going good. We're ready for the show tonight. You know, this is show 18, correct? Number 18.
Wow. It's just getting bigger and better.
Yes. So how about without further ado, we just go ahead and bring on everybody that's in the panel tonight all at one time. Let's just go ahead and get this thing started, make sure everybody's audio is on, and we will get this thing underway. So I believe everybody is here. And hello to the entire panel. Beneath me, there's Chuck from CRAPS. Chuck, wave and say hello.
Hey guys, how are you?
And then we have a viewer. We actually have a viewer, not a subscriber, not a YouTube content provider, but he's a viewer and a subscriber. There's Mike the Bears 85 right next to Chuck. He's come on the show, which we'd like to see more of you come and join the show. And
good evening.
We've got good evening, Mike, and of course we've got John from Pro Craps. John, good evening.
Morning. Yep.
Good morning, evening. I tell you, it feels like morning, John. I'm going to tell you that. And then over in the green room, I'll be making that picture later when they get in there. We've got so many people. We've got Churro from Yo's channel. We got Old Bay Craig from Old Bay Craps. We got Leon from Great Craps. We got Alfredo from Texas Crap Shooters. Arnell from Dice Grinders. And I believe that's Black Sheep. He's got his audio muted at the moment, but I believe that's Black Sheep. And that would be, if you look at his screen there, that's his Crapsy screen name. Before we get started, guys, I actually have to point this out just real quick. Let me do this real quick. We had, before the show got started tonight, we had somebody over 6 hours ago put this up. Can we start early? Duracell 8. Can we start early? 3:46 my time. He puts that in the chat there. Can we start? And then, of course, Arnell was next in there. He actually said, hey, evening to me and all the other peeps. Arnell's on the show with us. So welcome, Arnell. Guys, if you're in the chat, please put a Q with a question. And while we're talking about CRAPSy, if you can put a capital C or Q, I might be able to pick up on it, because Chuck's going to be our first guest. The first thing we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about CRAPSy and issues, problems, how you like the program, enhancements. He's going to tell us hopefully a little bit about version 2 that may be coming out here soon, and some enhancements they're doing between now and then. Guys, I'm telling you, I have talked to Chuck for probably 2 hours one day, 2 weeks ago, and he's a wealth of knowledge, information. He is an IT specialist when it comes to game development and software development, and he is your man to answer the questions. So, without further ado, let's go around and say hello to everybody. Chuck, I'm going to save you for last, because you're going to be our first topic. So, let's start over here in the green room. Let's go to Arnell. Good evening. How are you? Is Arnell there? Can you hear me, Arnell? Would be my show if we didn't have problems.
Can you make the Zoom bigger?
Yeah, I am. There we go. There you go, Arnell. Say something.
Oh, okay. I said good evening.
Yep, good evening. Sorry about that. I had the wrong button turned on. Good evening. So welcome to you, and I will be making these guys bigger as we go along throughout the show. Let's just go ahead and get through it. Alfredo, you're there in the middle. Say hello to everybody. Alfredo, Texas Crap Shooters.
How's it going? Yeah, I don't know if it's me or if Jeff's cutting in and out. But hey, just want to say hi. Had a tough night of shooting. Thanks to Duracell, he recommended the all 7 set and actually came up with the 2 double digits to close it out and get back to the positive. So really happy after that.
Good. Churro, welcome.
Good evening, everybody. It's exciting being here again on another one of these crap chats. I love it, so I'm excited. Okay.
I'm sorry for the small screen, guys, but we got a lot of people here today, which I love because we're going to have more interaction today. I haven't even been looking at the questions yet. I'm going through the screen here. Craig from Obey Craps, good evening.
Hey, how y'all doing?
All right, we're doing good. And Leon, there you go.
There you go.
There you go. Leon, how are you doing? Great Craps, Leon.
Good, I'm doing great.
All right. And Black Sheep, are you there? You're muted. If you are, you can just say hello to us.
Sure. I hear Black Sheep or Nemo, whichever which.
Nemo or Black Sheep. All right, we can do it. All right, John, I know that you've got some updates for us to talk about, especially for the Craps for the Cure. We're going to go over to Chuck from Crapsy before we get started to the Craps for the Cure. But I hear you've got an update and some information for us.
A couple updates, yeah. We'll talk about those later on, though, for sure.
All right. And Mike, welcome. Mike the Bears 85, welcome to the show. I know I
Thank you.
Just a few minutes ago. Just hang in there for a few minutes. You'll get your opportunity to interject in the panel.
Yes.
So let's go ahead and let's head to Chuck from Crapsy. And Chuck, welcome to the show. We know that you've have fielded a lot of questions from YouTube content providers like myself, as well as your users. So welcome to the show, and tell us where things stand and how we can help you and you can help us. Good evening, by the way.
Yeah, good evening. Thanks for having me on. It's great to be here. Yeah, we're doing a lot of work. We're kind of walking and chewing gum at the same time. We have two projects going on. We have our current version, where we have one of our team members working on support and some enhancements. And then the rest of our team, we have 3 other guys that are working on version 2 and have been since the spring. And we're hoping to launch that in the first quarter of 2023. So, yeah, we have a lot going on with that. Some of the things we're working on with the current version is a new admin panel for the publishers. So all the publishers that use Crapsy on their shows throughout the week. We've been building an admin panel, which I've shared with many of the publishers already. And so working on that, and then just definitely supporting the program right now, trying to make it better, faster, stronger, more bionic, and get that done. And then putting a lot of time into version 2. Version 2, I'm really excited about that. The new features that we're going to be able to use in Crapsy are going to be pretty fun for everyone, including me. I love the program and I use it every day with you guys and then through my testing and stuff. So really looking forward to version 2. And every day we come up with some new ideas on what to do in it. So it's great. I've previewed some of the workings with some of the publishers I've met with and what we're doing, and got some good ideas from everyone. So it's been really good, and really looking forward to that coming out. I think there's a big future for where we can lead. Craps can help lead the growth of the Craps community. So it'll be really fun.
All right. So, guys, if you have a question for Chuck at Crapsy, please, by all means, put a Q in there. I'm just scrolling back through the comments, and we really would like to field some questions for Crapsy. If you have questions about Crapsy, I know that the 2 hours that I spent with Chuck, he was informative. He showed me some things that I didn't know, just from a user standpoint, let alone what I can do on the back end for myself. So if you have some questions, put them in there. He's here to answer all questions. I know that Alfredo had him on the show a week or 2 ago, and he's talked to John as well. So we want to hear some questions from a standpoint of what you guys want to answer about CRAPS. Chuck, I know that first of all, we started with a limitation of 12 players, then we went to 30, and it's my understanding there's no limitation because the other night on Casino Quest, they had 80-some people at one table. Is that correct?
Yeah, we've removed the limits completely. The reason we had limits to start with, the way CRAPS was built was really to have players of 12 at once, so mimic what a real table would be like in a land-based. So we had built it that way, so limited it to 12. But then when the publishers like you and a lot of the guys on the panel started using it, we bumped it up to 30, and you guys have outgrown that. So we've removed the limit. We believe that we can go as many players as we want, or the servers that we use are powerful enough to do that. But we're growing as this thing grows, we're growing and figuring out, or have growing pains, figuring out what we have to change in the program to allow that. So we've removed the limits, and we'll see where that leads. Hopefully, it leads to something huge.
All right. Let me see before I field some of the questions here on the chat. I'm trying to adjust your audio a little bit. They're complaining that your audio is a little choppy, but I don't know if it's on my end or your end. I did adjust it. I added a little bit of compression and boosted you a little bit, so maybe they're a little bit louder. But let's go over here to the panel, and let's see if the panel has anything for Chuck at first with CRAPS. Anybody on the panel have anything for Chuck that they would like to say or ask questions? Anybody?
I actually do have a question, and it might have been answered before, but I tried, and Chuck, this is Chiro from Mimoyo. I was noticing the microphone and the camera icon at the top left of the screen, and I've pressed it before, and it kind of shuts off the little extra, because I usually pull up another window, like if I'm on Jeff's and he's doing it, I have his window up, and then I'm playing CRAPS. It'll cut off his volume, but nothing ever happens with that microphone or that camera. So my question really basically is, what are those? What are they for?
So that's for group play. So we kind of made it social. Again, we were trying to think of, when we first built it, was to have friends play together and so on. So when you turn those on, and other players at the table turn those on, if all the security settings are set in your browser, you'll be able to chat and talk with your friends that you're playing with. So last week, I think it was last week, I was on with a bunch of other players, chatting with them through the system. You just need to make sure that your settings are set in your browser. And if you use them, and you're not coming on, there's a little lock to the left of your URL at the top. If you click on that, it'll give you access to your microphone and your video, that you can give access to CRAPS for that. Usually what will happen, CRAPS will ask you, or your computer will ask you, will you allow CRAPS to use your microphone and video? If it doesn't, you can use that little do that. There will be conflicts if you're using your audio video program like Discord or something like this, where we're using Zoom or something like that. There may be conflicts, but on its own, it should be able to work no problem. And the neat thing about it is it's peer-to-peer, so it doesn't go through our server. The server just connects you together, but then it's going peer-to-peer, so it's pretty clear. It's pretty good. It's not quite like Zoom, where Zoom can filter out other noises and stuff like that. It brings out just exactly the noise. We don't have features like to mute other players or anything like that, but it's something that we might look at in the future.
All right. Sure, does that get your question answered?
It certainly does. Thank you very much.
Yeah, next time you're on one of the shows, if you put a chat in there, I'm sure some other players will jump on with you, and you guys can be talking as the roles are going through. It's a lot of fun.
Does that interfere with the administrator at all when they're chatting?
I think it would. There's going to be conflicts if multiple systems are using your cameras and microphone. there could be issues with that.
Good question, Dylan. I know
So,
Dylan and I have
as long as
tried out
everybody-
that, go ahead, Dylan. Go ahead.
Just as long as everybody's, like we have to be here, Craps Chat, we have to talk and then be courteous. So, there's like a small little delay, and then as long as everybody's adherent to that, then everything should run smooth.
That's a good question, Dylan. Dylan and I have actually played around with that. We've actually gone back and forth a couple times with that. Anybody else that's in the Zoom side of it, would you have a question? Alfredo, you have a question?
Yeah, I had a question for Chuck. Chuck, where are we at? Are we now over the 1,000 marker of folks that are paying for the application?
No, not yet. We're not at 1,000 yet. We're getting close to 800. But we do have over 11,000 people that are using Crapsy that have accounts. So we're hoping to convert some of those I will be sending out a message to all those account holders and promoting the publishers' channels. But a lot of people don't know that there's live rolls going on through YouTube. They just don't know. So, if I can get that message out, I think it would be really helpful for the subscribership of Crapsy and also for your channels.
Yep, I know most of the channels that are using it, we're all promoting it the best that we can. Even Arnell in the middle here, he's kind of switched on me when I do the spotlight view. Arnell does it on Wednesday night live fantasy craps. Arnell, do you have a question for Chuck?
No specific questions. I know we've been. I've even chatted with him. A couple hours not too long ago. He showed me some of the features coming out, so that's actually good. I'm actually looking forward to it and hoping we can integrate some of these new features into what we do as content providers. But it looks like it's going good. I've tried the Zoom feature built in with Chuck on somebody else's channel, I believe, and we had at least 7 people on there with audio and video, and it didn't seem to be a problem. Is there a limit? I guess my question would be, is there a limit to the number of people on audio and video?
There shouldn't be a limit, just it would get kind of unwieldy if there's more than 12, you'd have to scroll them back and forth, but something that we're looking at is to be able to activate or inactivate who's ever on with you. So if you're just chatting with, let's say there's 50 people using it, you can choose the 3 or 4 that you want to be talking to as you go. So something that we're looking at, because it will, like I said, we built it for 12 people. So we can scroll as many people as we want because it's peer-to-peer. There's no bog down in the server. So we just have to find a way that, obviously if you had 50 people talking at once, it wouldn't be very good.
Sure. Yeah. Hopefully you can find a way to either possibly add a mute, because I know some of these people were kind of like
you can do it with
echoing.
friends, right? What if you just had like the way to say, hey, these guys are my friends, and I can only hear the 4 people that I like or that I know, and then screen out the other 50 people. And that'd be kind of a cool thing.
Exactly.
Kind of like almost like a social network type of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So that probably won't happen until version 2, but definitely something that we'll have to do. We will absolutely have to do that.
All right, look forward to it.
A good workaround there is those of us that have Discords, you can go on Discord and have video and audio as well.
Yeah. There are some limitations with the Discord at the moment, even we've experienced before, but I noticed you've been using it more and more. Alfredo, I don't know if you've boosted your Discord or not, but there are some bandwidth limitations there that both John and I have struggled with in the past, but I've noticed that you've been doing it with some success, so maybe you can share your secret with us, but that's true. So we have some questions lined up. Anybody else here in the panel have anything for Chuck before we head to the questions that are lined up?
I have
in the
a
chat?
quick question.
Sure, go ahead, Craig.
Yeah. Hey, Chuck. This is Craig, Old Bay CRAPS. I'm not currently in CRAPSy. I've played the practice version, but I wanted to know, and I was distracted earlier when somebody came in the room, so I may not have heard your answer. You said you were at around 800 plus users right now for CRAPSy. What, if anything, are you doing going into 2023 to market and bring in more people to join CRAPSy?
Yeah, so we're at nearly 800 subscribers. We're like 761 or 781, something like that last time I looked today. So close to 800, but we have 11,000 account holders. So obviously most of the people who have accounts are playing the free version, which is great. There's no strain on our server when you're playing the free version, so it's good. It gets people an idea of how it works and stuff. So the big thing is converting them to full members, and that's going to be a promotion. I haven't done any marketing messages to our membership or anything. So many of them don't know that there's YouTube providers and publishers doing live rollouts or anything like that. So for me, I think if we help build the CRAPS community through the channels that are using CRAPSy, that's only going to help CRAPSy grow as well. So the goal push, these 11,000 account holders to your channels and knowing that they're out there. As I think the vast majority of them have no idea there's live rollouts happening, and I don't know if there's YouTube channels happening.
Right.
So let's go ahead and head to the questions. That I don't know if you're monitoring the chat or not, Chuck, but I will be putting some up here. I'm going to go back to the oldest question first, which came from looks like Black Sheep, which I don't think I needed that. I think we've corrected that one. He was talking about the audio. So here we go. This comes from. I'm going to hope that this is a CRAPSy question. I believe that it is. Let me send this to the screen so that I can read it. And could you please have your coders come up with a virtual rack, one that keeps track of or discrete chip locations in real time? That's a new one to me. I haven't heard, but Chuck did show me a preview coming up later where you're going to be able to see two people's your side of chips, and on the right side of the box you can highlight a player and see their chips. I don't think that's what he's talking about. That's in play. But do you understand the question, Chuck?
Yeah, I do understand the question. So, as you all know, being at a real table, you have a front rack and a back rack. A lot of times, and Vince has this. I think he does a really good job with CRAPSy, where he, out of sight, out of mind. Where once he gets over his bankroll, he does a buyout and buys his chips out. Well, that's kind of like putting chips in a back rack, and you don't touch them anymore. And I think that's what this question is getting at: being able to put chips in a certain location in one of the two racks to put to the side. So not something that we've thought of doing because you can manage it through your bankroll and being able to buy out and cash out chips. And so your bankroll changes at the top, or at least your rack does. So there's a way of doing it that way. But if that's not what I'm getting at from this question, definitely something that we can chat about. And if you want to give a better explanation to that, maybe Jeff, you can put that on the screen. That anyone can send me an email at support@crapsy.com with suggestions. Just if you do have a suggestion, detail it really well, so I get a full understanding of what you're talking about. And everything that comes in, we put on a list. If it makes sense, we put it on the list. And I don't think anything's come to make sense yet. So everyone had suggestions. It's great.
No, that's true. I mean, let me put that up there while we're talking about that. I had to do it a different way. I actually just put it in a remark that I'm hoping it may not have taken for some reason. I'll get back to it. But at support@crapsy.com, I will put that up here in just a second, guys. Anybody that's on the panel, do you like the idea of the chip idea that J.R. Bobby Jones asked?
I think if you do it, you're going to have to also give the ability to the creator not to do it, because you have channel like with Brian, he wants to really limit, people from getting crazy. And even if they have their own bankroll, he may only want them to only have 1,000 and start from that, and that's what they end up finishing with. Whereas, some of us, I don't mind if someone has a controlled bankroll that they've earned over time and wants to use that, I wouldn't mind being.
All right, go ahead, John. Go ahead with your comment.
Yeah, I think the question's more about the visual rack, not so much putting money aside. It's more about, can I practice managing my rack, right? Is that what Arnold's asking about, or JR is asking about? I think that's what he's getting at.
I think
putting chips in virtual racks, you can see where they are and get a visual on it as far as that level of practice. That could be cumbersome from a UI standpoint and from a gameplay standpoint. It could just take a while to move your stuff around, but I can see the need for that, or the want for that, for sure.
Yeah, there's definitely one of the big challenges of putting a craps table on screen is real estate. Being able to see the stats that you want, and chips in and bet selection and the different screens that we have. Real estate becomes really hard, and not so much for a big screen. Like, we're probably all on pretty big screens right now, but when you go down to a small device like a phone or even a tablet, real estate becomes a premium. You got to be able to tap things and tap the right things with your finger, and already that's a challenge with some phones, especially with fat fingers like mine.
All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the next question. Let's go here to the next question. Let's see. I think we may have already covered this. Let's go ahead and put this one up here. Chuck, can you share some of the new things that's coming out, or do we have to wait until the full come out? I'm pretty sure you covered some of them. I don't know how much secrets you want to go into. I don't call them secrets. Maybe some surprises would be a better word in version 2 in the future. Is there anything that we haven't covered so far?
Well, I think we've covered a lot. I'll tell you the three most exciting things that are coming out. Number one, the ability to create your own saved bets. Right now we have quick betting buttons, so we have bet inside, bet outside, bet across, that the chips go up on the screen to wherever you want. We've added a 6 and 8 quick button, and then we've also added multiple buttons where you can program them yourself. So let's say you have a weird iron cross strategy that you like putting on the screen. Once you put it on the screen, you can save that betting view to a button. So the next time you want to make that bet, you just have to click, and it's the same thing as clicking the bet across button. So you'll be able to pre-program buttons yourself, and I think that's going to be make the game really fun and easy, especially once you don't have a lot of time to put your bets down. Pretty good. Right. So, or if you have a ladder, like one of Wayland's ladder systems, you can save a bet like step 1 of ladder, step 2 of ladder, step 3 of ladder, something like that, where you can do that. So that's going to be a good upgrade in version 2, I think. We figured out the real estate problem with that, so we know how we're doing that. The second thing that's going to be really exciting is the ability to see other players betting in real time. So right now, if you want to see what someone bet, you have to go look at the betting history by clicking on the dice roll history. You can see what they bet on the last roll, but you have no idea what they're currently betting, if they're regressing or whatever. So you'll be able to select another player and see their bets next to yours. And you can switch players, and it's in real time. So as they're clicking chips on a number, they'll appear on your screen automatically. And we figured out that real estate issue, how we're doing it, by comparing your bets to one player at a time. And it's I think it's really good. The last thing that we're going to do, or that we've done, is create bet placements in the real spot. So as you know, in the current version, you have a place bet, and the buy bet is to the right of it, which is not like a real table. A real table, your buy bet is a little higher than your place bet, and your come bet's kind of in the same spot, maybe a little higher, and then your lay bets, and then your DC bets. So we've created a table to have all your odds and your bet placements go in the right area, so it's more like a real table. And that leaves a space on the right side of every single betting area for that other player that you want to compare to. So those kind of enhancements are kind of top 3 in my mind. There's a lot of others. But those are the main three. So the board's going to look much different than what you currently use.
Okay. This question from Arnell, who's on the panel here with us, asks: is there a limit to the custom bet buttons? Do we have a limit?
I think we will do a limit, just because it'll get unwieldy. Because you're only going to be able to see 4 quick buttons at once on the screen. You'll have to scroll through. So scrolling through, another, 7 or 8 sets of 4 buttons will become unwieldy. So right now we're looking at 12 buttons, but there's no reason why we can't do more. I just think it'll be unwieldy for the player to have that many more. But it's something that we can absolutely do, because no matter what game you go to, those quick buttons will follow you. If you're on the web version and you create a button, when you go to your phone, that button will be there automatically. So that's going to pull right from the server. So your settings will save to the server. So no matter what device you go to, you'll be able to get the same buttons that you've pre-programmed.
Oh, so that's a account-based thing. That's great. Okay.
Yeah, that's nice. Let me since John chimed in there, I'm gonna put this one up here. He had a question too. I'm gonna get back to the rest of the questions that were before this one, but while we're talking about this, from an admin standpoint, multiple admins on one game, so if John's rolling out and I can enter it from my side while he's doing what he's doing, so he doesn't have to
Interesting.
Yeah, manipulate a lot of things. I do know that I have a solution for the KPI roll tracker and the CRAPSy side. I'm using something totally different that you and I didn't talk about, Chuck, that I stumbled over thanks to George over at CY. But I know that version 2 is going to come out with a numeric for the admins, but the question John's asking, can we have multiple admins log into one game?
Right now, we don't have that. That's the first time I've heard that question, but I can't see why not. There's no reason that we shouldn't be able to do something like that. If that's something that you guys as publishers want to join a channel together, be good.
Yeah, yeah. From a smoothness of delivery standpoint, what a huge thing that would be. Just so I could roll, talk, and do my thing, and somebody else can enter the rolls in for me. And man, that'd make the shows that we do just go so much smoother. And I think with the next question, I hope Jeff puts up about the shared bankroll thing, that would make that you're traveling kind of around the room kind of thing so much smoother. So that's a huge ask. I love it.
If you can send me exactly what you mean by that, John. I know you've sent me some pretty detailed suggestions. If you can use the same format, that'd be great.
Well, I'm a coder. You know me, man. I write you stuff and
yeah,
I write you stories for you, right?
Right.
Yeah. So there's the next question. I didn't realize it was by John because I actually missed it. He wants to know during live rollouts during the day, it'd be nice to have a shared bankroll. John, you want to elaborate that a little bit so that Chuck understands?
Yeah. So we've been talking about this on my show, and a bunch of folks have brought this up as it's an idea of my bankroll is my bankroll. So if let's say the first time ever I ATM machine out $10,000, and I play on Alfredo's table for a while and I win 1,000. When I go to Jeff's table, I have 11,000. And if I lose $5,000, I go to John's table and I have 6,000. So my bankroll goes with me as I log into a group table versus the group table dictating what my bankroll starts at. And that way we all become we're like all part of a casino. And I can choose to take my bankroll to Jeff's room or John's room or somebody else's room and sort of treat the content providers as tables I want to play at with my money and see how my
bankroll goes
over time. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really interesting idea. And I think what we'd have to do with that is when you're setting up a table, set it up to group bankroll or something like that. So your bankroll follows you, and so it's not really shared. You're not sharing it with another player, but you can carry it to other tables that are under the same group of tables. Interesting. Mm-hmm. Can't see why we can't add that setting in there.
Yeah. Okay. I think it's it'd be a cool opt-in feature for us providers for sure. Yeah.
Let's move on to another question. I just want to remind everybody that's in there, I've stumbled across a couple. Please put a Q for a question, or if you have a CRAPSy question, capital CRAPSy or just a capital C, so I can catch those for Chuck while he's still with us. So let's back out to yes.
I'm sorry, I had my hand raised, but it was at the time that you asked one of John's questions, and I just had a related question.
Okay, go ahead.
The one that you asked where John asked about multiple admins. So So my related question is, Chuck, if I'm going to tell you this question from the viewer's perspective because I'm not a paid subscriber. From a viewer's perspective who likes live rollouts with live players, that they're also the show is specifically doing the CRAPSy, is there a way to do a reduced version that helps the host put rolls in quicker and have the rolls go quicker so it doesn't disrupt the flow of the live players?
So you mean just data entry for the admin?
Well, let me give you an example. Like Big AZ does the live rollouts with 3 or 4 live players, and then he also does CRAPSy. But when he's doing the CRAPSy part, it really slows down the live players who are in his show and the game. I'm just wondering if there's a way that you could have a reduced time or a reduced version for people who do live rollouts for live players.
Yeah, so we're building this new admin panel, and one of the things, so when you're doing the manual entry for the dice, the pop-up appears above the screen. So what we've done in this new admin panel, and this is going to be for publishers like Big AZ or any of you guys that publish, that screen won't come up anymore. It'll be on screen all the time through the side panel instead of middle of the game screen, which most of the guys don't play CRAPSy. They have their video being displayed in that area. So the new admin panel we built is we've moved that button out of the main screen into the side view, and the publisher will be able to use a keypad to enter. So they'll be able to enter 5-3 enter. They won't have to tap at their screen. It won't be a multiple tap. Of course, they have to stop betting. There's certain things you have to do. So there's a button that's called halt betting when you're the admin, and that sends a message out to all the players, no more bets, and then they can't put bets down anymore. So stuff like that's going to have to happen. That's going to have to happen from the admin where they halt betting, and then once they do have the roll, they can then enter it a little bit easier. I don't think it'll save them 5 seconds, but it might save them 2 or 3 seconds. So it'll just be cleaner for them to do. So, and I think that's going to be appreciated from the publisher standpoint.
I know, what I can tell you, Craig, is a lot of this has to do with the creator getting used to it too. I've gotten so much faster than I have previously, and it's just putting it in your, in what it is that you do as you're recording rolls or calling out rolls that makes you more and more efficient as you go along.
All right. Oh, true. All right.
Thanks.
Let's go on to another. Let's move on to another question here. Let me get back over to that screen. This one, I don't know if I covered this already. Let's go ahead and put this one up here. Did we cover this one already? Is there a way to manually input rolls incorrectly in version 2? What he's talking about, my fingers are fat sometimes, and I push the wrong buttons, and I push the submit button. You explained to me why it's the way that it is. I understand that, Chuck, but can you address Duracell's question?
Yeah, so one, there's 2 things here. One, being careful you enter them, but I understand mistakes happen. So we are looking into it. So right now what happens, the way it works, and the process that CRAPSy does is the admin presses halt betting, everyone gets no more bets, and then you can undo that action because nothing's happened yet. You can close your roll window, undo that, or in the new admin panel you'll be able to cancel it, opens the roll. But let's say you do halt betting, and then you enter the roll. The roll gets, so when you do halt betting, all the players will notice their chips turn green. That's a message back from the server saying the server has received your bets. So your bets are already on the server at that point. Without the roll ever happening, bets are on the server. When you enter the roll is then sent to the server. All the bets are calculated on the server, and then the winning amounts are then sent back to the player. And we do that for security reasons so no one can game the system. Like they would have to be able to hack the server and not just hack the stream to the server. So we do it that way. So we could do an undo, because the server already has the bets, go back one roll and remove those. It's not something we put on the list, but it's something we put on the list. And so the admins could then, like Arnell is saying, undo the last roll if there was a mistake made. There's no reason why we can't. We just have to change the messaging. It's a new process for the server to go. It's a message from the admin saying, hey, look, what just happened. You have to erase what just happened, send a message back to all the players that has to be removed from their game. So there's no reason why we can't. Is the short answer.
All right. I have another question here. Let me make sure I get the right one up here because I saw a couple of people talk. Does somebody want to make a comment about that before I move on? Oh, I thought I heard somebody speak. Looks like they're asking for a countdown. I'm kind of looking for the chat from Duracell, who loves to play. By the way, I have the DA table on my channel that was dedicated with a perpetual bankroll, so you can just keep going and going and going, sort of like what Jim talked about earlier. But looks like he's asking for a countdown. I think that's the question. It's either this one here or this very next one I'll put up here on the screen as well. Chuck, don't know if you can read that or not. A countdown timer in effect because a shooter still has to set the grip and the dice. I think both of those sort of go together. Can you address those?
We will actually have that in version 2. It's already done. So it's kind of like the countdown timer is kind of like when you play bubble craps, right? The big bubble craps machines, the shoot or whatever. They have a countdown clock and start making an annoying thing close. We already have that programmed in version. So when you set up a table, you'll be able to set, is this a countdown clock to a manual roll? Is it a countdown clock to an RNG roll? Or is it a push button for both of those two? So there's the two options. You're pushing a button or you're letting the countdown clock do the work.
Okay. All right. That's great. I'm actually getting back over to some more questions, and I actually pushed the button that got rid of all of the questions, guys, and for some reason I'm going to have to go back over to a different chat thing. So let's go to the panel here. Let's talk about the CRAPS real quick while I go back and try to fix the chat issue that I just kind of messed up.
I just want to say something.
I'll admit it. Sure. You go ahead,
I just want to say something to Chuck. You wouldn't be getting all these questions if you didn't love your product, so I hope you don't feel that we're asking too many questions on you. Again, I'm not a subscriber yet of it, but I do appreciate what it is, and I appreciate that everybody loves it, and they wouldn't want you on the show unless we really just want to get updates, and we really love your product. So thank you for coming on.
Right, thank you very much. Well, listen, there's a couple of subjects I can talk all day long about, and the one at the top of the list is CRAPS. So if anyone ever wants to chat CRAPS with me, send me and get on a call, talk CRAPS, talk about the new features. I have no problem, and I think the guy I already chatted with, you guys are usually the ones ending the conversation forever. I have a little bit of the gift of the gab with that, as they say. So, no, I appreciate all questions and suggestions.
All right, guys. I actually pushed a button here that kind of got rid of a lot of the questions and a lot of the comments in my queue by accident while I was looking for the search. So if you have a question that's there that I haven't asked, can you repost it so that I can ask it again for Chuck? We're rolling out on the 45-minute level. I know his time is valuable, and he's here to answer everybody that is here with the questions. So I think it looks like
I have another
questions
question
that I had in there. Hold on one second. Let me get this out, we'll come back to Churro. Discount code for new subscriptions from the favorite YouTube channel to track and generate revenue for that channel. I'm not interested in about the revenue side from my channel. Others might be, but I think that we could promote that, Chuck. And I know that you mentioned before that we need to get the word out. Maybe I don't know, first month free and subscription, or $5 off the annual subscription, whatever. Have you ever thought about that?
Absolutely. I've looked into affiliate programs, looked into the discounts that Duracell's talking about, looked into all that. We would have to program ourselves. One of the things, there are services out there that code it, and subscription, we lose more than half of that just using their services. So we would have to pad ourselves, which isn't impossible. It's absolutely possible. and something that we can look at definitely in the coming year.
Okay.
I did, when we first launched, we did a bunch of promotions with Casino Quest, and Casino Quest is one of our partners. We did a bunch of promotions with them where we offered free year memberships, some free quarter memberships, a lot of free months. So there's quite a few players out there that are playing on free memberships right now. So we did do that at the start, and it's something that was good to kickstart Crapsy and get it out there and get the word out, and playing in group tables, which is really what we want. We social app where you're playing with friends, playing on these channels, and really good. But definitely something that we can look at in the coming year.
Okay, tell me if we answer this question, what we talked about, make sure I don't skip this from Duracell. Timer countdown for when you press no more bets. I don't know if we covered that in the countdown timer, your answer for that. Did you cover that? You understand what he's asking there?
Yeah, so there's a couple of ways to do the timer. The way we're programming the timer is very similar to, like I said, the bubble craps machine is you have 30 seconds between rounds for the no more bets to appear. So, or 20 seconds or 15 seconds. So you can set that up so the no more bets appears right away at the same time. So everyone has down, they're not waiting for the publisher to press a button. Now, the thing that can still slow down the game publisher, if the publisher is doing a manual rollout and you're setting the dice and you're going back and forth, that's there. You'll still have to enter rolls. So that countdown timer is like that. If you're using the RNG version, then there's no issue because the RNG is going to be rolling the dice each time. So the publisher could be talking about the strategy they're doing or what everyone's working on, or if we're trying to get a top 20 list or top 10 list, or who's in the red, who isn't, that type of thing. That becomes really powerful that way because, like Roll to Win, it's kind of like an auto roll, right? It's not RNG on those Roll to Win games, but sometimes it feels like it.
All right.
I got a question for you, Chuck. What about the retention? Because business is business. What's the retention look like over the past 4 months of folks that have been paying? How many people are dropping off versus coming on new? Is there a ratio?
About 9. Yeah, we lose me 20% of people drop. About 90% of those people that drop off unsubscribe immediately after subscribing because they don't want to get rebilled. So they'll subscribe for $5. Their month is set up, and then they'll unsubscribe right away because they don't want to be rebilled, which is normal, and that's part of it. Many of those people just resubscribe and then unsubscribe the next month. They just don't want to have that auto rebill each time. So I think we're in a pretty good spot. I think over time our total subscribership is somewhere around 900, and we're at 781 or 761. I forget the numbers. So there's a chunk of those that just haven't resubscribed again.
Yeah, that's pretty high retention, actually.
Yeah, no, yeah. I'm pretty happy with it. It's good. Like, we'll get, through August and September, really good months. When you guys, all of you kind of started using Crapsy at the same time, and Casino Quest started doing their after hours, there were a lot of people that started going on because, I don't know, a lot of people don't have friends to play Craps. But then when there's live rollouts, auto friends, you get friends, right? So, and you get to play the game and compare yourself, so it's pretty good. So, and that's really the goal of this is, you think about all the social apps that are out there, Crapsy could be a really good social app for the Craps player, bring the community together.
All right, let's keep this rolling, guys, with some other questions that we just had come in. I've fixed my issue that I had on my side here. I'm going to go back to a question about almost a half hour ago, and I think may have touched on it, but let's go ahead and put this one up here. And that is, can we also have a rolling player bankroll, personal bankroll, where you can bring it to a table? I believe that's the question that John asked. Tell me if that was asked and answered, correct?
Yeah, it was.
Correct.
Okay. All right, let's go on to Dan DVD has a question, which reads, question in version 2, is it going to be redundant architecture, so no downtime? Not sure what he means, but I'll let you address that, Chuck.
Well, right now we've had bugs in the program, but we haven't had any downtime at all. So crapsy.live's always been available. Even when we update it, it's available. If you're like, be down for 0.3 of a second, and that's it. But you'd never notice it unless you're loading it in that exact any downtime. If you've seen downtime, hopefully you can send something to support@crapsy.com. But to our reports, the AWS servers have been good the entire time. They've been awesome to deal with and real good to work with. The folks at Amazon have done a really good job with their architecture and infrastructure.
All right. Here's a question from Brian over at Y Craps Shooters, who does a lot of his live rollouts with Crapsy as well. And that is, do you have any analytics on how active Crapsy subscriber is and what tables they play on? I suppose maybe he's asking the various YouTube content providers versus somebody who may set up their own little group thing, and you and I play with Alfredo and John, but we're not on YouTube.
Yeah, I can have our programmer or database engineer pull reports. I don't have an active panel that we've programmed. We've really put all our time and effort into the game itself, but it's something that we'll probably look at down the road. But I have pulled reports with mostly what the dice rolls are like. We've done a lot of work on our RNG, and we're on version 3 of RNG, and we have 3 versions of RNG coming out in our version 2 of Crapsy. So most of our analytics have been around that to make sure the game is good and plays well. But as far as what type of tables, I haven't pulled any like that yet. But we could. Like, all the data's there. It's just, pulled, and our guys do some work on that. I haven't looked at yet.
All right. I'm trying to go back to the oldest questions first. I've got a question here. Let me just go back. John, did we answer your question about the alternate form to enter the roles input? I don't know that I displayed this one yet.
No, not yet. That's an interesting one. So here's the question. Yeah, this came to me from somebody who is building a bubble craps machine, and he's going to mount a camera over the thing, and he would love to be able to have like the camera feed Crapsy the input for the dice that came out. And I've asked you, Chuck, about using like the Elgato Stream Deck as an alternate form of input for the rolls. And that's just the question: is there some room for like an API or something like that somebody could code up the camera seeing the dice, almost like the Stadium Craps machine does? You know what I'm saying?
See why not? Because the version we're creating where you can use the keyboard to enter the rolls. Yep. It's just a matter of the keyboard those numbers, so there's no reason that can't be done. The work would have to be done on the bubble crap side of things to feed Crapsy, but it's just like that whatever they design is like typing in 5-3 enter, right? So it would be the same thing. So they would have to do the work on their feed that in. No reason why that can't be done.
So question,
go ahead, Dylan.
So all these people that are doing live craps, then that would be super beneficial, because they've got cameras that are designated for where they drag the dice to so that they can read it and it's blown up. And so if the machine can code that and feed that, then that would eliminate people having to type in manually the numbers. Now, is that what you're referring to, John? Also?
Yeah,
could be
more of a just. Yeah, something like they said, like the camera seeing it, or some way to blow it up and like have that just, because like when I roll my dice, I roll them up and I slide the dice up and I put them in a certain spot on my table, so you can see it as part of the YouTube stream. But if that camera could feed Crapsy and they could say, "Oh look, there was a 5-minute 2," and it just logs the rolls in for me, hell,
yeah, exactly.
Now you're, that's so
that would
cool.
That would definitely have to be.
It's hard.
Yeah, it would have to be programmed on the publisher side, and then. Yeah. But fed into Crapsy, there's no reason why that can't be fed in. Instead of your fingers typing on the screen, your system on your side would feed into Crapsy. No reason why that can't be done. But I don't think it's easy.
Like an API call almost that we could do, like a back-end service that I could like write code to. That would be, dude. If you do that, then let's just own the
first side would be.
It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, from the Crapsy side, it would be easy. The hard part would be from the publisher side, being able to read your dice and send that information over.
Yep.
This may be.
But if it's coming from one feed from one audio.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I was looking at, and this is for education for Crapsy, for those new players, is learning how to call your bets. Like give me a $12 6 and 8, make my 9 look like 35, and having Crapsy do voice detection so players can put bets on the table through voice. And that's a big education thing. It's not just good for us. It would be fun for us because you're like talking into your phone, giving the bets instead of clicking things. But for the new player, like them playing and clicking on their computer screen is a good way for them to learn where they're and what they pay out and maybe what the bets are, but it's not the same thing as walking up to a table. They're not putting a bet on a play 6. They have to throw their bet in. So being able to do those calls as a player, so it's something that definitely I was thinking about for not version 2, but version 3 is having vote recognition and putting those bets down. And part of the thing when we were dealing with Casino Quest for them to use this in their CEG for new craps dealers for their school. So that would be a big part of it too, them being able to hear those calls, to be able to put the bets down. So there's stuff like that we're looking at in the future. It's not there yet, but it's technology that's out there. We just have to program it.
All right,
so
let's move on with
you said, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. We got to keep this moving.
I said,
a lot of questions.
You talked about the as a player, but what about as a host on a live show? Because I think that would actually fix the problem if you were able to come up where the host of a live show with live players could just say the role and it would record that into Crapsy.
Yep. And like I said, it's something that we want to do the voice recognition thing. Obviously, there's only so many systems out there, like Hey Google or Hey Alexa. We're not quite there yet, but it's something that we.
The Alexa API can do.
There's a billion things we can do. That would be really cool. Really cool for us to do.
That would help speed up the game, I think.
Yeah, that actually might open up a can of worms where if someone's saying, let's get a hard 8, does it enter a hard 8, right? I mean, it could also screw things up.
No, you do it like when I wrote apps for Alexa, you basically have the key phrase, hey Crapsy, make my 8 look like 42, or hey Crapsy, log the roll 5-2. And it would just it would pick those words apart and do it. It's doable. Like I said, I've coded that stuff before to make it possible.
I like that idea.
Seamless, fast, and error-proof is the hard part. Because everybody's voice is different. You've got accents, you've got all sorts of microphone issues. Making it perfect is hard. But you talk about leveling up the app. That's amazing. My wife would probably divorce me from running around the house giving bets to my phone all day long. But I think that'd be super cool.
It would. It would be awesome.
That's level up stuff. Yep.
Yeah, that would probably be in version 3, which is down the road. But yeah, absolutely. And I think it would.
We may have just lost.
How to make calls.
Yep. Are you here, Chuck? Because you kind of froze up for 1 second.
Oh, yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. I think since you and I spoke. I used a touch screen to enter the 2 numbers and click submit, and I programmed the area of the touch screen to take the numbers and put it automatically in the KPI that the Craps Nation uses. The Stream Deck, Elgato Stream Deck, actually has a function that's in there where you can download out of the Elgato Stream Deck and do that exact same thing. So a YouTuber like me, I don't have to enter once in KPI and once into Craps Chat. It's just all one keystroke right off the Crapsy screen. So there is some technology out there. What John's talking about with that voice recognition, I like that, but I just don't know how to do it. You two are the IT. I'm going to use the word geeks, don't be offended, but you two are the IT specialists, and I'm sure that's doable because there is so much voice recognition that's out there.
Yeah, it is. It is doable. It's something that we've been thinking about, especially from the player side.
Right.
Then you could literally say, "Hey, give me inside whatever, take me down to inside whatever," and then it could do it. But it's interesting.
Yeah. Well, it's good education, right? For the player, do it like I said, going to the table and giving instructions to where to put the bets that's a daunting thing. It's a daunting thing for new players, and so, but if you teach them how to make those calls, then they can go to the table and they're not doing string betting or anything, right? They learn how to do
it becomes a thing.
Proper betting.
Yeah, and you gotta teach. The cool part of that is teaching Crapsy and everybody else all the proper things to say, which is fantastic. That's such.
There's proper verbiage.
I'll level up right there. Oh yeah, that's great.
There's proper verbiage.
Yeah.
I see Rob's question on the screen. We've done this. So the all bets down button will not touch the DC or DP bets.
Oh, good.
So it hasn't been uploaded yet. We've already programmed it. Once we're finished our testing, that'll be in there. And then you'll have, if you do want those bets down, you'll have to drag them off the screen or reduce them on your own. But the all bets down will not touch DC DP bets anymore.
All right, yeah, we had talked about that, and I thought you had touched on that when we were talking earlier with your opening about some of the enhancements, but maybe I misinterpreted that. Duracel's got another question because he's a big Crapsy junkie like I am. Will there be active table lists on public tables for people to join and play in Crapsy? I guess he's asking other tables that might just be Joe Smith in St. Louis.
Yeah.
No disrespect there, Dylan. But is that an idea?
Yeah, so this is what we're doing in version 2. There will be public tables listed all day long. They'll all use a countdown timer. There'll be different types of tables. You'll just be able to go join in, put on your microphone and whatever, and you play a table kind of like a bubble craps machine, but on. You'll be able to choose which table you want to play. Craps, you will generate those tables, and you can just jump on. Either if other players are there, great. If not, you're playing it yourself, and it'll use the RNG roll. It won't use manual rolls. So if you're doing manual rolls, you need some friends.
Right. That's cool.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I'm going back to just make sure I didn't miss any questions. Go ahead.
Yeah, there was a question, Jeff, that didn't get answered. It was by Brian originally, and Arnell said it was a good one. For the creators, is there an undo roll button for us? Because that seems to have created an issue. But I know once you already pay stuff out, that's hard to take money back. I don't know. Is that something that could be done?
Yeah, we chatted about that before. It's something we have to program. It's not unrealistic because it's just a matter of the publisher sending a note to the server saying, forget what just happened, and then we just have to delete information or mark it as deleted, and then it'll send a message to all the players and undo what just happened and put their bets back. So there's no reason we can't do that. It would happen in version 2, not in the current version. There's a little bit of work. It's not just the programming of the game, it's our database engineer that has to work on that as well.
All right. No, I appreciate that. I'm going back through, and we're coming down to the end of the questions that are up. I missed them. I thought we had touched on that, Alfredo, but I'm glad you brought that back up. I'm going to go back. I'm going to answer one more from, that was just, I put that up there from Brian. Yeah, Brian, I'd be happy to help anybody. You know me, I'll help anybody do whatever they need to do to get that done. If you're using a Elgato Stream Deck, it's really easy compared to me programming sections on my touchscreen. That was more than I wanted to do. So here's another question from Duracell. What was Crapsy's market goal when launching? What are the goals for the growth? 1K subs, 10 subs. And this was a question I was going to sort of ask at the end, Chuck, so you could tell us, I don't know how much you want to talk about what we talked about with what you see the future as, but maybe you could kind of like sum all that, what we talked about with Duracell's question.
I'll say the vision that I have is for Craps itself, not just Crapsy, but Craps itself to be kind of like poker. Poker got really, really big. It got on TV. And my feeling is, and I've talked to many of you about this already, is that Craps would be a much more entertaining game. And not to knock poker. I think poker is great, but it's made for TV. And so my goal isn't to say, we have the goal is 1K subs, 100K subs, a million. My true goal is to get Craps on TV. I think Crapsy can be a route to that, to getting a final table in Vegas and that being on TV. And that's really my goal of this, is to get Craps to be big like that. That's where we get the Craps community just get bigger and bigger. And right now we have 10 publishers using Crapsy, and you're practicing, like, you watch poker on TV, guys who are commenting are pretty entertaining. There's just so much more to talk about with Crap. You talk about the physicality, throwing the dice, team play, all this stuff could be so much more exciting with Craps. And of course, I'm biased. I love Craps. I'm not a poker player, but I love watching poker on TV because it's gambling and it's fun. But really, the true goal that I have down the road, and I think we're a few years away, hopefully not a dozen years away, but a few years away from that becoming a reality. And I think this community, Crapsy, is going to be a big part of that. And it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when it happens.
All right.
Yeah, that's right.
I know somebody else had a question in there, but let me go back and just cue the question. I'm going to go back to 20 minutes ago with Ed from Roll to Win. Don't know if he's here or not. I missed it initially when he asked this question, and it's going to go back to something we've talked about, but he wants to really know about the revenue sharing for providers. That's where he sees getting his subs from. So the two-part question, I'm going to get on to Ed's. I know that there's going to be some type of a way that if somebody's on our channel or on our stream in Crapsy and they do something, there's a way to how connect those two together. As far as the revenue sharing with the providers, I've already said I'm not interested in that, but there are some YouTube content providers that sink a lot of money into their channels to promote different things. This would also be a question, and my question to that would be is if we use Crapsy as a revenue source, would that then come into YouTube's content requirements to be a sponsored? We'd have to check that box on the back end to be sponsored. John, you may know more about that than I do, but anyway, I'll let you have the last word on that one, Chuck, and then we'll move on.
Yeah, well, it's something that we can do with affiliate marketing. So affiliate marketing is pretty tricky. So let's say you, Jeff, you become an affiliate and you have a code, and anyone that clicks on that code comes to the Crapsy site, subscribes. Now you're attached to them. But if they just come to Crapsy on their own and they don't use that code, then we don't know. We wouldn't know that they're so it's not a foolproof way of doing it. A lot of people don't want provided. They just want to put their information and not be linked to anyone. They want to be hidden and all that stuff. So it's not a proof way. I think the biggest revenue sharing that we can have is Crapsy promoting the channels. Like I said, we have over 11,000 subscribers right now. Or not subscribers, but account holders. If we can push those 11,000 to your channel, watching your channels, all of a sudden, instead of having 100, 200, 300, 1,000 views and bump that up to 4, 5, 6,000 and have that grow, I think that's a great way to promote the channels. And the affiliate marketing part, it may or may not work, but really, in my true world, and I've talked to a bunch of you about this, is that there would be no cost to Crapsy, that would have sponsors for Crapsy. So, ideally, that would be the ideal scenario for me, is, our cost being covered by the big guy, not the little guy using it, but the big guy promoting their stuff. So, I think, as far as revenue share, I think promoting the channels through Crapsy would be the best thing. And right. I have no idea what any of your revenues are like on YouTube. I'm not a YouTuber. I have a very small YouTube channel with 2 videos, so I have no idea what it's like. But I do know that the more subscribers you have and the more people watching your video and view time, that's where you can generate some revenue. So if Crapsy can help grow that, then fantastic.
All right, we're going to end the session here with Crapsy with the content. Well, I'm going to make a comment to that. We're going to ask one more question from Duracell. Guys, if you have questions, we're going to move on to some other crap stuff. Craps related questions, put a Q in there. Let's move on. We got some people on the panel here that want to talk. They're sitting here, they're being nice and quiet, and we really appreciate Chuck coming on tonight and taking the time to talk to us. From a revenue standpoint, I'm going to tell you this, and maybe John can kick in on this if I'm wrong. There's basically 5 ways that a YouTube content provider can make money. Views is probably the least amount that you're going to generate any type of revenue, and the other ways that you do it is if you have a sponsorship. And I'm worried about if we were to take CRAPS on and use that, whether or not we would have to claim that as a sponsorship, and then we wouldn't get monetization off of that. I don't know if that's the question or not, but there's 5 basic ways that you can earn money, and views, watching is the least amount that makes the amount of money for any YouTube content provider that's got 1,000 subscribers or more.
That's true, but the thing is, if you take a sponsorship on, right, and you say something, what you have to do as a YouTuber is say, hey, look, this show is brought to you by the Big Fuzzy Dice or whatever it is, and by saying that, what that does is YouTube will then say, okay, well, because he's sponsored, they have to open a normal sponsor that this video has paid content in it, and therefore they won't show ads on your video, which means you don't get the revenue for what you would have gotten for the ads, which for a normal video is about $3 or $4. It isn't a lot. So either CRAPS would have to pay a fortune to each of us to make it worth it to not have ad show, which probably isn't worth it for them, or we just agree to we're just using the product and that's it. So it's a really weird line there with that, and how much does it impact the revenue overall? And I don't want to turn it, and none of us do. I don't know the kind of channel that's today's show is brought to you by, the Elgato Stream Deck, and then everything becomes about the ads, and it's the what is that called? With Jim Carrey, the Truman Show, or not Truman Show? Is Truman Show?
Yeah, Truman Show. Yeah.
Everything becomes that, like product placement, right? And I don't want it to be about that. It should just be about us playing CRAPS. So, I mean, if there's a affiliate marketing kind of thing that works off to the side, that's different. But if YouTube gets involved, it gets messy. And it's unfortunate.
All right, we're gonna have these 2 things. We're gonna wrap the CRAPS stuff up and ask Chuck, and he's welcome to stay here and talk scraps with us the rest of the time. There's a question and a comment from Arnell Dice Grinders, because I think he's been trying to ask it, but I didn't recognize him. So, can content providers have a public table list with manual roles?
I think we do that in essence, but they're not public. It's in our public table list and the new version we're creating are just going to be there all the time. So what you'd have to do is set your table as public, make sure you have the start time, end time, because that's the way it's going to work with our public tables. They use the RNG. You're going to set, we're going to set it up with, start time 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. This is the type of table, crapless, or sorry, John, maybe not crapless. And then maybe you'll be able to play them. But then if a content provider puts in a public table list, I can't see why you can't just put in the start time and end time like you currently do, and then it's in the public list. And that could really help. So I don't think it would be a separate. It would go into the normal list, if anything.
All right, so here we go. Last, I think it's more of a comment than it is a question, but it comes from Arnell, and that is feature request. A notification to your CRAPS users a live rollout table is about to play would be nice. I think we just covered that. He did just cover that.
That would be so cool. Yeah, that's a great feature.
Yeah, it would be. I don't know how you would push that out to through the app or whatever, but some way to do that, because we can do it on YouTube. We can schedule it, but it'd be nice if we could do that on the CRAPS side. Go ahead, John. You know more about that technology.
I would say that because that makes us feel like a casino. Like I said, it makes all like the 30 providers that are using CRAPS, we become an online casino. And just look, John's open and Jeff's open and Waylon's open, and I'm gonna go to John's table now, and I'm gonna switch out and go to here. That'd be so freaking cool if the group table screen, public group table screen, and you can just pick and choose where you want to go with your common bankroll. What a
Once you reach out to everyone and push about the channels.
I'm going to do that. So we're going to center the marketing.
Once you push out to all the channels, maybe creating an actual forum or a Discord or whatever that has the different creators in there, and then people know, oh, these are the different creators. Here's their YouTube channel. Here's a chat area that they can go. Oh, they put a comment that they're going to be going live at this time. It can be an easier way for everyone to find it if they're not part of our Discords already.
That's a great idea. We do have a Discord channel, but it's just for me and my developers right now. That's how we do stay in touch with each other, is all through Discord, believe it or not. So Discord's great for, I actually have a software company. That's how we communicate through that channel. And then my team with Crapsy would do the same thing. So we could create a Crapsy section to that for providers, so people can join and see just those channels that you guys can post when things are going to happen. I think that'd be great. For now, anyways.
Wouldn't that be the same thing as the Crapsy notification, though? Just like a YouTube notification?
Yep, it would be the same thing. I think doing a YouTube-like notification would be version 2 for sure, but we can set up a Discord this week. Like, I can do that. I don't need to have my programmers take time to do that. So we can set that up. And then when we send out our marketing message, say, look, join our Discord. These are the YouTube providers. They're on our Crapsy Discord. They're going to notify you when their channels are up. I think it could be pretty good. And push people to each of the channels. And I think growing all of your channels would be great. It just makes it fun when there's more people involved. Like, it just does.
Yeah.
Jeff, before we move on, I want to ask one last question of Chuck, and we can move on.
Sure, go ahead.
It's more of a general pull back the curtain thing question. Is like you kind of alluded to. We know you're partnering with Casino Quest, and then you kind of alluded to you might be partnering with others as well. Could you give us more? Or would you be able to give us more information on that?
Yeah, we have a partnership with Casino Quest. They obviously, you hear David's voice on Crapsy. Obviously, as much I'm a lifelong I've been playing craps for the past 20 years. I think I'm pretty educated in it. Obviously, David helped me a lot with making sure that all the bets are paid correctly and all that stuff. So they put a lot of work into it. So they were my initial partners in this, and so that's the only partnership I have. So they help push this out. Obviously, you know, you see if you don't have the town bets activated, you see their logo on the screen and stuff like that, and that's important for us. So that was really good. It's been a great partnership. They're awesome. If I don't talk to them every week, it's every other week about what we're doing, what they're doing, and how the game's going. And obviously, I talked a little bit about my vision of where Craps can go. They're a big part of that, and that's really, Crapsy is like an avenue to make that type of thing happen. So we're all on the same page of what we want, you know, Craps to turn into. That I want Crapsy too, if you know him really well. So, but I'm not doing the Keno thing, just the Craps thing.
All right.
Sorry, David.
I really appreciate you coming by, Chuck. You're welcome to stay with us the rest of the show. We're going to try to get into some other questions. On behalf of everybody here, especially myself, you taken almost a little over 2 hours out of your time to talk to me, and it sounds like you've talked to the other content providers as well, taking the input. I know that I can shoot you an email, support@crapsy.com. You're pretty good about responding, and even one time I got something like at 1 or 2 in the morning when I'd sent an email out, you had replied, and I know I sent you an email yesterday. Let's talk about that. Finish this section up here. When somebody has an issue from a technical support problem, I know you told me you want to know the table ID, the shooter, and the roll, but can you explain what you're looking for so you can narrow down the problem, whether it was a disconnect on your side or their side? And typically it's always their side, it's always the providers, the internet provider.
Well, I think it's a mix of everything. Like, Crapsy isn't a perfect program. There's going to be issues like anything out there with technology. We're patching holes are where we find holes. But one of the things that makes it really easy is you send as much detail as possible. You do run into an issue, then we can figure out. The hardest emails I get is when someone sends me a message like, my 4 didn't get paid. I have no idea what that means. I understand that a 4 roll, you probably had a bet on a buy, a come, maybe a place, maybe something, but without detail. Like I'm going back and saying, can you provide detail? And I kind of have a block response for that now. But so those are the hard emails, or when someone just types the question in the subject line, it gets really hard without much detail. Most of the emails I get are about the RNG. People are happy that there's too many 7s or too many 4s knocked off their lay 4. So, people want to win. So we don't do any kind of manipulation with the RNG. The RNG actually over time is awesome and really good. The 3 new versions of RNG that we're going to have come out in the winter are over 50 million rolls. Whether it's a simple RNG or something using crypto, they come out with the same results. And one of the analysis I did with live tables versus that, the exact same results as live table rolls. So manual rolls match our RNG over time. Now we don't have 15 million rolls in manual, but we have a lot. So we can generate millions. So most of the questions we get is about the RNG.
All right.
So and then I have a block response for that too. Like usually it's people who are. It's impossible to roll 4 7s in a row. Like, no, it's not. Right? So
no, it's not.
I've proved that wrong so many times.
This guy right here, 77757, he changed his phone number. Alfredo changed his phone number to 777577757.
Well, the funny thing is, what's great is that when you guys leave your videos on from the live rolls, now I'm pointing people back, go check these 3 live rolls. Here's a great shooter. Sorry, Alfredo, you're a great shooter, but sometimes you're not so great, right? It happens with everyone. It happens, so I can point to, hey, and the one day, Jeff, you rolled 6 8s in 8 rolls. Do you remember that? Was like a week or 2 ago. So I point to that. Yeah. That is more unlikely to happen than 5 7s and 9 rolls or 7 rolls. Like it's just not likely, but they happen. So most people ask about the RNG. They're either losing. And I get the same. One guy send me 5 or 6 emails now, like 2 weeks apart. It happened again. 4 7s. It's okay. It happens.
So I'm going to end this this topic on the CRAPSy side. I'm talking about your random number generator, and that is the fact that you have a standard reply in your email that you send back. You also, and this is my segue into the Discord, you also posted that. I don't know if you did it on the CGT TV Discord here, but you did it on Alfredo's and you did it on my Discord, and you put the standard reply in there that's in the email that explains the RNGs, and that there's different ways of doing it, different ones you're using, and when your new version comes out, it's going to be that. But you have found, comparing all the, I think it's up to 5 now, but at least the 3, they all come out to the same probabilities that we all are familiar with. Is that not correct, Chuck?
Yeah, well, it's fun. I can explain a little bit. The version that we're putting out in version 2 of the RNGs, people are going to be able to choose one of 3 RNG methods. So the first one's a simple RNG. It's like Excel nearly. It chooses 2 dice, 6 randomly, and we can produce 15 million rolls in under 10 seconds with that. It's so simple. The server the game itself can do that really quick. So that's one version. We have another version that takes a sample out of 4,300 possible numbers. So it's an RNG that chooses 1 to 4,300. And then we have a formula that counts based on any number that comes up that gives us one of the 36 combinations. So there's 2 ways of doing RNG. You can do 2 dice or choose 36 combinations. So we do that 36 combinations. Out of those 4,300 rolls, it adds up to a multiple of 36. Each number in there is associated to one of the 36 possibilities. So we have an algorithm that checks that based on the random number. The random number generator has no idea this has to do with dice. No idea. So we can generate 15 million in 30 seconds with that one because there's more to it. There's more calculation. Then the last one uses what's called crypto random, and you guys can do a search on the web of how crypto random. So this generates a number, it's like 2 to the power of 30 or something like that. It's some crazy long number, and every single one of those numbers, I think it's like 12 billion or something like that, is associated to one of the 36 combinations. Again, this crypto random has no idea this is for dice, and each one of those numbers is associated to one of the 36 rolls. We have an algorithm that figures it out, doesn't do any manipulation of that data. Whatever it spits us, it gives that, and we can generate 15 million rolls in about 3 minutes using crypto random. So one roll in any one of these is done in 1/10 of a second or less. When we did our testing on all 3 versions, simple random, pseudo random is what we're calling generally pseudo random things, they all come out with the same results. 2.77 something for every single one of the 36 combinations. They're identical to over 50 million. We did tests like, I don't know, 11 times 50 million rolls on each one, and I was floored. They're all the same. The issue that people have is when you see those streaks. The game is streaky. It's just the way it is. And I know that the guys at CRAPS, they put out a video, random number, and it was a really cool video. If you go to the CRAPS YouTube channel, you'll see he talked about how random is chosen and what you can see, and it was really good. And we see streaks all the time. When we do analysis, you'll see streaks of 6 7s in a row. It happens. If you're lucky enough and you press up your horn numbers after 4 or 5, and you hit 4 or 5 in a row, which it happens sometimes, you can make some good coins. Same thing with Hopping 7. So things are streaky, but that's the way the real game is too. As we all know, things are streaky.
Right.
So those are, and then of course we have true random also that we do right now. Like anytime you use the RNG in private tables or group tables, it goes to a third party that gives us a number, and we use our algorithm against that number to generate the dice. And so we pay for that service. So that service, there's an expense for us to do. It's not cheap, but it's good, and we find ways, because I was getting complaints about the random number generator all the time. Like every day, I get at least one, if not multiple, emails about the random number generator. So that one goes to a third party, like it's true random, and I put that in your Discord, Jeff, and I think I put it in Alfredo's as what's done. So it goes out, and they have no idea it's for dice.
All right.
I'm sure Michael Shackelford would be very proud of that.
Yeah.
All right, so let's wrap up this Crapsy talk here with Chuck from Crapsy. He's here. He's available. Support@crapsy.com is how you get to him. He's been very quick to answer my emails, and I believe he's trying to get to them all. You heard him talk about some that he's received from a random number generator. I got this one up here from Brian over at HCS. His viewers prefer the live rolls versus the random rolls. So on my channel, I do random rolls, but I'm rolling them out instead of me setting the dice. So on behalf of everybody here, Chuck, thank you. You're welcome to stay. I would like to move on to the next topic, and I don't want to keep everybody here because there's some additional questions coming in. I'm going to kick it over here to John, and I think you're familiar with this, Chuck, that John's got an update for us on the CRAPS for the Cure, which is coming up in just a few weeks. So John, the floor is yours, and then hopefully we'll get to some CRAPS questions before tonight is over with. I know Mike the 85 Bears has been sitting so patiently, and I know we lost Nemo just a few minutes ago. So let's go ahead, John, give us an update.
No audio.
No audio, John. No audio. Yeah. Okay, no problem. So anyway, guys, we're going to have a couple more questions. I noticed that some of us are bumping in off of the channel here.
You're
back. Yep, you're back now. There you go.
It's that whole mute button thing, Anyway, I don't want to take a whole bunch of your time because we can talk about this on Copying Craps too. But just a quick update on Craps for the Cure. Anybody out there who's a YouTube content provider on a thing to Craps Nation? Lose me again?
I'm not sure.
You froze for a second.
Yeah, you froze up, John. Go ahead. Everybody else is
fine.
There? Yep, you're here.
Me now?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, cool. Anyway, I put a global call to action out to the Skype Craps Nation group and also to our Discord for content providers to read a prepared statement that I've made for cancer. I'm going to send personal emails to a bunch of you as well. And what I'm going to do is stitch together kind of like a montage style video about cancer, surviving cancer, knowing folks who have cancer, and why we're doing this to kind of make a promo out of this. So that's going to be coming to everybody's inbox probably tonight and tomorrow morning. I have locked in 3 or 4 kind of big names. Shackelford's locked in. Color Up Jeremy is locked in. Tony Leo is locked in. VDC has locked in. Heavy Haltham from Axis Craps locked in. Of course, David is locked in. We have some great folks that are going to be there in person with us to roll some things out. Jeff, of course, you're locked in, and we've got this really starting to take shape now. I've actually invited a bunch more people. I'm waiting to hear back from who's going to be in town, who's going to be virtual, but it's going to be fantastic. Brian from Hawaii Crap Shooters is in the audience. They're going to do another ice shooting tournament. It's going to be awesome. And I'm telling you what, last year we raised $6,500. This year we're going for $25K. We're not going to be pulling punches. We're going to really go after it this year. I think we can raise a bunch of money for cancer and really set the bar here for how this thing gets done. I can't even wait. It's been a long time talking about it. We just got Casino Quest locked in about 9 days ago, and now we're starting the actual what's going to happen in the building planning phase. There's a lot to it. We have T-shirts designs. We have what else do we have? Chips coming in from Spinetti's. We have all sorts of things happening. So it's going to be a pretty cool event. Can't wait.
All right. Well, thank you, John, for saying that. Looks like I had the title up there wrong. Thanks for Duracell for correcting me on that. I even made sure that I put it in right, and I still did not have it right. Yep. Cure for the, yep. Anyway, John, thank you. And
let me just do one thing real quick, because I know he's not here tonight, but he normally is with us. Ian Olson, who you've all seen in chat in the morning show. He's a friend of mine from here in Seattle. He's putting in a lot of hours on this. Like, talking to people, negotiating. He's doing so much behind-the-scenes work. If you see him in chat, just call him out and say thanks, because he's really busting his ass. He's really, really helping us out.
Yep.
And just he's not a YouTuber, but he's really into it, and man, he's doing so good. So appreciate that. Appreciate everybody's support in advance for what we're about to do here.
All right. So I'm gonna lead into a question about tournament play, but I'm going to start with JR. I think he was talking about it from a standpoint on the Crapsy side. But this is something we put on the back burner a while ago, John, tournament play on CGTV and, some heads up stuff. I mean, not the heads up stuff, but team play and so forth. But for Chuck, who's still here, he says, design the perfect prize awarding pay structure dice tournament that tracks annually and keep to a World Series of Poker. Sorry, it's really small on my screen. It's sort of like the main event of a 10K buy-in tournament. I don't know that from a standpoint of what your vision was, Chuck, going, but I know that we've talked about tournament play. Your next version coming out is going to have some tournament stuff in it. But John, we talked tournament before, so let's talk about tournament craps. What is your ideas of where you see that going?
For me or for Chuck?
I think we're out of the Crapsy side of it because I know he's got that built in, but just in general, because when Crapsy gets tournament, we could use that.
Mm-hmm. Well, the thing is, tournament craps is so different than regular craps, right? There's always this discussion of, I guess the smoothness of it, right? So we know this is a tough question because when we play tournament play, King of the Mountain that we do, or the color up tournaments that are going on, when you have human dealers, it's fun because we kind of suck. And we make fun of each other, and it's that whole give and take thing, right? But there's a smoothness aspect to it and an accuracy aspect to it that you want in a tournament. Like down to the buck, right? When you're not paying bigs and that kind of thing. And I think that an app like Crapsy really could make that a lot smoother for us. But I see tournaments working in a number of ways. We have the one-on-ones. We have these weird rules that a lot of us do sometimes. But we get into like this idea of team play too, and having a tournament where you've got 4 people versus 4 people, and sometimes it's 2 versus 2, 1 versus 1. You can sort of, tab somebody in, and the options like that. I think that humans doing the dealing and running a show in that kind of scenario can be really, really confusing. So I think it's fun. I think it changes the way that we think about the game when you're saying it's me and Dylan against Jeff and Craig, and we're going to commingle our bets, and maybe at some point we tap out and let somebody else come in and take over the table for us. So tournament play is a lot of things going all over the place, and I think that I can see it being really fun, but I can see it being really confusing too. So,
other than up on the Color Up Club, John, have you ever played a craps tournament?
Yeah. Not in person. I've never been around when there's been one going on. So I know that, from what I understand in the casinos, is that the tournaments go with live money, your actual money. You play it on tables, and you qualify for the final table, and the final table is with fake money. But everything else is live money, live bets, live rolls. In our tournaments, it's not really a bracket system, which it could be, for sure. The Color Up tournament is a bracket-style tournament. Our King of the Mountain is more of a every week somebody else can win. So.
Right. All right, I'm going to go to Arnell and Alfredo here in a second, guys. So unmute yourself. If we need some more questions here, guys, for the rest of the night. I got a couple queued up, but if you have a question, any craps question, we've moved off Crapsy. Chuck is still here. He's a craps enthusiast, by the way. You heard him say earlier, there's two things he loves to talk about, and craps is one of them. So give me some questions in there. Alfredo, you seem to have a lot of experience playing craps. Have you ever done a live craps tournament that was either in a casino or set up for the tournament style? And you're muted, by the way, Alfredo, too.
I've done a tournament over at the casinos, several of the ones you get invited because of your rated play, but I've not done any, virtually with like the Jeremy or someone like that. But I think that's obviously one of those things that I think you can create leagues, do things that are more over time based versus in the moment just today. And like that traveling bankroll, I think it's something that interests a lot of people, like Duracell has stated. So I think it's a component of the game that can only make the game grow even that much bigger.
All right, and Arnell, how about you? Have you ever played tournament style craps before?
No, been invited, but never could make it out at the time. But not personally live or virtual.
Okay, all right. Anybody else? I think it would be too. I do. I think it would be fun for somebody to arrange a meetup. And somehow work with a casino or an establishment like Casino Quest, if there's some of those elsewhere in the country, and actually let's do a tournament of the meetup people, and then we can still go out and play and have fun. Any of the other people in the chat? I know Leon, you're an experienced craps player, but Craig and Churro, any of you want to kick in on the tournament idea? Leon,
I love the idea. I've actually not played on a tournament before, but just the idea of doing something along them lines would be fantastic, I think. So if we can arrange it somehow, that'd be fantastic.
All right, Mike, I'm coming to you next, so just stay in there. Go ahead. Who was next, Mike or Craig?
I was just going to say, I love the tournament style. This was my first year doing the Color Up one, which is pretty fun. Because you get a small audience too, which is nice, and there's some banter back and forth. Not much, not like on Friday Night Fights, but I also second the idea on John's channel about doing a team tournament, like a tag team or something like that.
All right. And let's go to Leon. Have you ever had any tournament experience?
No, but I saw where Caesars, I think, is hosting one in Vegas coming up, and so I thought that was pretty neat. That's apparently from the discussion I saw on Facebook. That's like maybe the first one they've had. So I thought that was pretty neat, but it was invite only for certain Caesars members, and it's I guess it filled up pretty quickly. I thought that was pretty neat, though.
Yeah, it probably did. I did see that notification as well. Let's go to Mike. Mike the Bears 85 has been sitting so patiently through the Crapsy talk, through this talk here. Mike, you look like a pretty experienced player. Have you ever had any tournament play?
No, I have not. None. Zero.
None. All right.
No. Well, none. No.
Chuck, do you have any tournament play? I think he may have muted himself. I know he's still there because I see him moving. Yep, Chuck, your audio's gone. I'll go to Dylan. Dylan, how about you?
Were you talking to me there? Did you mention my name?
I did. Have you ever played in a craps tournament outside?
I've never been in a live. Yep, no, I've never been in a live tournament, but just commenting on some of the stuff John was talking about, two different types. There would be like a league type play where it is a 2-on-2, 4-3 versus 3 versus something like that, and then an actual tournament is where one person's trying to get into a top 20, very similar to poker or something like that. Two different types of you have Robin type stuff where it's team play, and then play where it's an actual tournament where you're trying to win the tournament or move to the next stage or something like that. So those are all kind of cool stuff that we're working on. So kind of neat stuff.
All right, Dylan, have you ever played in a tournament?
Unfortunately, no.
All right. So, guys, we're looking for some questions, and I'm going to go back and we're going to move on to another topic. It goes back to what Chuck had said, the sevens. I want to put this comment up here. This comes from, let's see, I believe it comes from Rich. We're talking about sevens that come out, and he said, I've witnessed 9 come out sevens in a row at my local casino. He says he'll never see that again. And I know, I didn't know that Alfredo had a second 7757 number, but I know when we were in Vegas with the Blue Wrench crew a couple weeks ago, I know we had a roll there with a bunch of sevens. I actually witnessed 4 come out sevens today in a horrible loss that I took a beating today playing locally. But from a come out seven standpoint, we always turn into the questions, working, not working. That becomes controversy on whether you should work or you shouldn't work, depending upon where you are. But let's can anybody top Rich's 9 come out sevens? Or 9 sevens in a row of any sort?
Can't even imagine.
Yep. Oh, hold it. What's that? 8, Alfredo? Let me highlight that. I didn't see what you said there. You said you've had 8?
Yeah, I've had 8, but that's the highest. Right under it, but yeah.
Wow. Arnell, you've seen a lot of things, including on your live fantasy craps and playing live. What have you seen?
Oh man, quite a bit. I don't know as high as 8 or 9, but definitely seen up to like 5 or 6. Right. I myself don't do that. not that many in a row.
What is your record for come out sevens in a row? Is it probably 3 or 4, right?
Yeah, probably like 3 or 4.
Yeah. But I think we've all had those. I think so. And John, your friend Ian is here in the chat to now. He's just
I just saw that. I just saw it. I said, hey, yeah.
Yeah, welcome. We were talking about you. Yours must have been
yours must have been
actually this is
hey John.
Hold on one second. When what Waylon says here, he said he saw 10 7s and 11s in a row on a bubble craps. That I do believe. I do believe. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Alfredo, you want, or who was it? Leon or Alfredo? Which one?
I think it was Craig.
Oh, I'm sorry. Craig, was that you?
John said it in the chat. I was going to tell him Ian's in the chat.
Okay.
Thank you, Ian.
Right. All right, guys, we're looking for some questions to finish out tonight with. I have a couple things saved, like I normally do for the end of the at the end of the session. And since we're at a sort, we're waiting at a break. I'm going to put this up, maybe some controversy, but this comes from one who's in the group here. He said, "Shrew, I just got caught up reading on the chat. We had a whole nother show going on in here for a while, and what I want to talk about that, guys, and I've talked to a couple of you about some controversy here that's been here, and everybody playing well together. But John experiences that almost every day in morning coffee and craps. He's teaching, or he's instructing, or he's showing, and there's always comments going on, and sometimes he doesn't even know about the conversation until he goes back and looks at the chat, or somebody tells him about it. But I couldn't keep up with all the chats going through there looking for questions earlier, but Leon was right, and I hope, guys, that we can all just, in the words of Rodney King, can't we all just get along? Let's just do this, the betterment for the community, and just be good with that. So I'll add that in there. And shoot, I deleted the wrong question. I had another question queued up here. I deleted the wrong one. But in any event, from a standpoint of craps in general, with what's coming up here with John's fundraising, which I believe what Ian said, I think it'd be nice, strong showing, John, to raise that amount of money. There was a question that was asked, I believe Alfredo asked it, or actually I think we self-appointed Alfredo after he brought this up last time, was doing some other type of fundraising throughout the year from our community in different regions of the country. Don't know who would be interested in that, but Alfredo, didn't we nominate you as the leader?
Yeah, you guys did. I said this, you know, whether it be JDRF or maybe the local blood bank or the homeless shelter or, you know, your local food bank, regionally, just, you know, the folks that play craps in that area get together at some place to have that and put pictures up and put it on a shared community like our Skype or something.
You know, what if we did something? So here's an idea. So this is actually Ian's idea, because we were going to call this one "Crapping Out Cancer" was the initial name for this event, and Ian suggested we call it "Craps for the Cure," so we could change it every year. Like next year, be heart disease or whatever, or it could be curing homelessness or PTSD for the vets or whatever. Right? Be kind of cool to like the day of this event, pick next year's charity or next year's thing, like you're saying, Alfredo. And if next year it's all about, you know, folks who have, you know, food issues or you know, getting enough money to buy food or whatever, if that's the issue for next year, let's call it out on the 19th. And everything we do as a community just builds towards that one goal all year long. And then we culminate that with the next telethon being the last thing. That would be kind of cool if we just coalesce as a community around a single cause. You know, and as our channels get bigger and we start getting the ability to take donations online, we can do that. Because none of us need the $5 from the super chats, right? But that goes, we can forward that on to, you know what I mean, to these communities. What a great idea. Thanks, Alfredo. That's actually, I love that.
Yep. No, one of the ideas, John, especially from my background here, is we've had a lot of natural disasters here recently, whether it be flooding or hurricanes, storms, you know, earthquakes and so forth. So a topic for maybe a future year to head in there. All right, guys, I'm still looking for some questions for tonight. If you have a question, I'm going to turn it over and ask any of our panel if they have any questions. Mike, I'm going to go to you. You are a viewer and a subscriber. You're a longtime Craps Chat watcher. You've been sitting so patiently, and I really appreciate that, because I knew when I asked Chuck to come on, we were probably going to talk for a good hour and a half. And I think that content was good. I know you wanted to be on here either last month or the month before that. And I know you had a question, you had a comment, but when I asked you in the green room tonight, you just said you wanted to participate. So let's talk craps. How you doing?
Real good. Yeah, being new to the craps community since about March of this year, just I'm all in 100%. And I try to watch as many videos and help out where I can, and I'll be there next month at Casino Quest, and wherever I can help out, I am more than willing to be there for every. It's a great cause.
Are you a new craps player or just new to this community?
Oh, new craps since March.
Oh, well,
I don't know.
To the community, and welcome to this game that we all love to have.
But before March, nothing. Didn't know the game. I mean, I've seen it, but mostly sports and horse betting, and you know, just fell in love with craps. Just love it, absolutely, 100% in.
So, would you classify yourself as a craps degenerate?
Sure, why not?
Well,
so
go ahead.
Being retired, I just can watch as many as I want now. My wife told me to get a hobby, so there we go. I got a hobby.
Oh, all right. Let's go around the panel since we're not getting any questions, and let's go about some recent play that some of you may have had. Looks like we've got about an audience of about 45 at the moment. So let's see, who haven't we specifically heard from tonight that much? Leon, any recent play with yourself anywhere?
No, I haven't had the opportunity to get any play in. I have an upcoming trip in January to Vegas for work, hopefully. And so that might be the next time I get to play. I would love to come to Craps for the Cure, but I have a adjacent engagement already there in that place, and might not make it to that adjacent engagement if I go. So for now, I'll participate wherever I can in that, and hope to watch it, catch it live on YouTube as much as possible as well. So.
All right. Let's go over here to Churro. Churro, you got a couple things going on. You're doing your usual weekly shows that you do, but you also have that that challenge between you and Chris from Sideshow Gamble, who's serving our country overseas, and I pray that he remains safe and all of our overseas support staff and armed services remain that way. But Churro, what's going on in the jewelers world on the Craps side?
Well, first off, he better be safe because I want that table. So that's he better come back safe. No, it's going to be a lot of fun. The Cure is something that's near and dear to my heart. I did a little bit of a video about it a little bit ago, but so I was excited to be part of this, as well as doing this battle with Sideshow to win his table. Notice how I said win his table and not give my hats up, because I'm going to win his table. But it's been pretty awesome. Jewelry-wise, just so we know, I'm going to be donating a really nice watch, and I was going to, in one of my videos, I'm actually going to showcase it, but a really nice watch and a pair of earrings that I ended up making, diamond stud earrings. But I'm also, and I'm looking at it right now, and I'm not going to show you, but I'm going to tease you. I'm actually working on something else, and it's going to be a big surprise that I'm going to be bringing in Vegas, and it will be offered up as a auction item as well too. So
cool. I appreciate that. All right, let's head over to Craig Old Bay. A long time no talk to, my friend. You and I did a little show the other night and had some fun. And then you did a live last night and had some fun, and you did a premiere today that you've been doing one of the strategies that's, I guess, it's kind of controversy at the moment. But let's not talk about the controversy. Let's talk about what's going on in Old Bay Craps.
Old Bay Craps' world. I actually just got unlocked for the YouTube posts, so I actually posted a poll today to ask everybody's opinion and feedback on what did they like from the channel so far. The battle strategies, movie strategies, live shows, or night craps. It's all fun to roll out. Going live last night was a lot of fun, even though I think it's the second live in a row that we didn't make a profit. You're not always going to make a profit, but no, I've been having fun. I've actually been
show in the morning, dude.
What's that?
Well, Craig, I told you on our show Friday night, welcome to Live Craps, because if you're watching a YouTube channel, it always shows the wins and no losses. You're not watching really what takes place. So it does happen. Like John says, it happens all the time. I even Friday.
Dude, I do that shit every day.
Yeah, I don't know. Was it one of Craig's shows here lately? It might have been yesterday when you were rolling out. I said, "Well, look, John's back." I mean, hello, Craig. How are you? In your chat yesterday, because you were rolling.
What's funny? I don't know. John wasn't on it, but Jeff said, you may want to cut your losses, but he didn't know that I took that literally, and I just cut off the live feed.
Oh my god! You know what's funny is every day I hear all the time. I hear Alfredo's a great shooter. Texas, that guy can fucking shoot, right? Go watch Alfredo, right? Alfredo and I talk. He say, "Hey, come on the show and hang out with me." I come on the show, hang out with him. He throws 4 PSLs in a row. Like I brought the sevens to that guy's show. Like I'm sorry, dude. I made you look really bad just by being there. I'm just like,
I ended up on that show, so
I know you did.
Yeah, it was tough to get there.
I am Slap Rock, 100%. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll come back. You want to say something else, Craig? I was going to move on.
I was just going to say, I don't have a lot of the resources that John and Ian do, but I've been joining them with their meetings about Craps for the Cure. This thing is so awesome. I'm so glad to be a part of it. I've been able to offer up a few ideas, and I just can't wait to see everybody. I think what John said in the chat, there's going to be like a group hug or something. I don't know. You're going to see a bunch of old men just hugging each other because we're so happy to meet in person.
It's going to be like every year. Like, remember when the Jerry Lewis telethon happened at the end? He always cried. Like, that's going to be that. It's going to be like who's going to cry first at the end of this thing. But I got to call you out too, Craig, because the idea for doing the video montage was your idea, right? And I wrote the little script.
I mean, it
wasn't
fun to actually do the video, but just because of the content. But it was fun. It's fun. Yeah, it was a hard video to do. I think I told you it took me about 25 takes.
John,
man,
I think John will be doing the crying because of that chip he's going to end up eating.
Dude.
Yes, he will.
I'm going to claim this.
I was going to go to Arnell next, but
the night that we agreed on that, and I'm kind of like, do I have to do it?
I was going to go to Arnell next, but I'm going to go to Leon since he started talking. But there was a comment that I was getting ready to make between Craig and John, and it's kind of like just slipped my mind. So, Leon, what's going on in the great craps world?
Oh, I just finished that thing. Everything's backwards here. You got to have the same problem John has in the mornings, I guess. But I just finished that today. So
wow.
I got up on it. That's the mini table. That's the original layout that I had, and I bought a bigger layout for the other table that actually fit the other table. And then I'd be like, oh, I got this other layout. I probably should build a table for it. So just finished it today, and that's probably the one that'll go in my office and start getting an actual studio and get out of the garage here. And or my kitchen is where the other one is. And so we'll go from there, and I'll start doing some strategies on the smaller, more workable table.
So Leon, is that for tag team craps only?
No, you could. And well, the other cool thing about it is it's small enough, and it breaks down so easily. It just comes apart into flat pieces. That I'm probably going to be able to take it over to my friend's house and play there and stuff like that. So
there you go.
We have this little Friday thing at work. Once a month, and we always go in there, and there's pool tables in there, and there's a space, empty space where there should be a third pool table, or maybe a craps table. And so
I'm just putting this out there. You know, you could auction it off.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
All right, let's go up to Arnell. Arnell, your Wednesday nights. Live Fantasy Craps, I was able to play 2 weeks ago. Had a ball. Wasn't able to make it this Wednesdays. Wednesdays and nights are hard for me until I'm actually doing a little bit of fundraising locally here with a couple organizations that kind of keep me busy in the month of November. But what's going on Dice Grinders and Live Fantasy Craps? And do you have any meetups or you played live anywhere lately?
I haven't played live lately. Even though I have a lot of, casinos I can go to, so I'm pretty disciplined. Don't have to go all the time. But this week, I don't have a LFC planned for Wednesday. I actually have a prior engagement, so I'll probably put a note out. We'll probably do it on Thursday. See who wants to play on Thursday. I did have a question for Chuck.
Sure, go ahead.
If he plans on creating any other apps besides the craps, like roulette, blackjack, baccarat.
Yeah. We've talked about it. Again, talk to our partners at Casino Quest about that. Originally, when I first started this, I'm thinking I'm going to have this craps events, and then we'll do roulette second, and thinking about Andar Bahar and all this stuff. Well, it didn't take 3 months. It took a year and a half to get the craps, crapsy out. So yeah, there's talk about it. I'm not a different team right now. Just of course, it's pretty expensive to put a full team together to build. So, but once crapsy's done, I might put my team in and start building something else. We do have lines for that game. It's done because the designer had time. But yeah, it's something that can happen for sure. Just not any time.
All right. Well, thank you, Arnell. Yep. Now let's go over to the panel beside John and Dylan and me. Alfredo, you've been busy. You've been playing. You got trips. You got meetups, and you got a couple things going on. So tell us what's going on in the Texas Crap Shooters arena.
So just reset up my table. Have a lot of different things that are done there, but I have a trip coming up to Chicago and next, not this upcoming weekend, but actually, I guess it is going to be. I'll fly in this Sunday and be there through Saturday of the next week. Then Craps for Cure, flying over to Vegas. Then I come back home for work, and then I go right back for the normal Macy's thing back in Vegas for several days. So there's lots of opportunity if anyone's in the northern Indiana, Chicago area or going to be in Vegas. I look forward to seeing you guys. Of course, doing the lives, upgrading, got a Gatto Stream Deck, doing some different things with my stream to make it even better for everyone else.
All right. Good. John, anything?
Alfredo.
Go ahead, Craig.
All right. I was just going to say, Alfredo, per your last Vegas trip, I too would like a craps table. So if you could shoot at the same table I'm shooting at, that would help.
Let's do it. Hey, all the time away from anything that we're doing for fundraising. If you stick around for a few hours, might have some bad rolls, but I'm gonna catch one eventually.
Hey, Craig, here's a tip. Whatever chat you get into on text messaging, everywhere that the group went was incredible to keep up, and it just seems like whenever I got to wherever Alfredo was, I just missed the roll of my trip. I should have been there for that specific role. Not because Alfredo might have rolled it, but because the group that was there. But it's. I wish.
Well,
everybody
you
that
were
goes
there
out there
the first day you got there over at the Orleans. I helped make you some money back on back-to-back rolls. So don't forget that.
You did.
There you go.
Yep. No, I didn't forget that. You got me out of the hole. You got me back to even. So, John, I know that you're on every day, Coffee and Craps. Any topics coming up this week that we should know about? Maybe that you might want to tell the audience that might not normally.
I have no plan. Jeff,
I like that.
You should know this.
Shoot from the hip.
People always say to me, "How do you do it? How do you plan?" I don't plan anything. Like I literally, most days I have like an idea for the week. So I'll tell you this: what's in my mind for the week right now is this idea of playing for the short roll or playing for the long game. And I've been working a lot of strategies, and it's like, hey, let's go, whatever, 220 inside, take 2 hits, and spread out and then start going. Well, shit, if you've done that, you've won $150. And my question is always, well, is that enough? Or do I need to keep the 150 out there and play it risk-free and burn it? And that's what's on my mind right now. So I think that will be the show this week. It's going to be a lot more of this short game, long game, that type of thing. And the regression to playing risk-free state and allowing that to just go away on all the 7s until you hit the good roll versus just doing that 4 or 5 times and having some consistent profits. And I think
how to burn your short stack.
I mean, I gotta find a clever name for it, but like the thing is, I'm doing this every day, the 7 o'clock in the morning, daily paycheck thing, and I'm so myopic on like, hey, let me get my $500 and get the hell out of the casino. Everything I do is, hey, skill 660 wins me $500 and I'm out. Why should I go skill 660 and leave the 440 out there and hope for the good roll? I already made money. I'm going. And I got to remember that the skill 66 always nets you $50, and that's a good thing. And my question is always, is that enough? And that's where I'm going with the morning show this week. Is it's more of like, is that enough? I don't know how I'm going to talk about it. I don't have any plans for strategies. It's just that's the thing that's on my mind is like, is the short game worth it? Some people say that I'm an idiot. Myopia Movie, I know he's in chat tonight, says to me all the time, you cannot measure strategies based on win percentage. And I'm like, but if I win $50 every day, that's pretty good, right? Or $500 every day, or $100 every day. That's a good percentage, and I like that. I don't know. That's where I'm at, Jeff. I'm always here. I'm always here with this stuff, like home run or single.
I got a question for you, John. Now that we have some people here, because when you're on doing Coffee and Craps and you're on doing your nighttime rollout and your the daily paycheck, which is, by the way, that's a lot of craps. I don't know where you fit in your wife and your job, but that's a lot of craps going on each day.
It's a lot of craps. Yeah.
Since we have this panel here, we got people in the chat. Sometimes they don't get to ask you a direct question and get a direct answer. Is there anything that anybody has for John on either one of his shows that he's doing, or even this channel here, the Casino Gaming TV YouTube channel? By the way, guys, Discord. Get into Discord. There's so much information on the CGTV Discord channel. All you have to do is go to CasinoGaming.tv. You can sign up for Friday night fights, and you can get to the Discord and see all the stuff going on. So, John, is anybody here have a question for John outside of my question? John, where do you find the time, and how much grief do you get from your wife?
My wife is good. She and I, we've been married for 31 years now, right? And when you're married that long, you get into a you get to a place where it's like we have our together time and we have our apart time, and we really appreciate the apart time. And she's like, so glad that I had this hobby, and she's like, you know what? You could be out riding a motorcycle, you could be out there looking for side chicks, you could be doing all these bad things, and you're on TV talking to a bunch of old white men. Like, cool. Like that's exactly her mentality. She doesn't care. She thinks it's great.
Happy wife,
I'm
happy
a high
life.
energy person. Yeah, exactly. And I'm high energy, right? I sleep maybe 4 hours a day, maybe 3-4 hours a day. So to me, it's like, for whatever reason, that's how I'm wired. So if it ever stops being that way, that's the time to worry for me. So I have plenty of time. Yeah.
Anybody got a question for John?
I actually do.
Go ahead,
John, it was probably, I don't know, about 2 weeks ago or something like that, but you were doing one of your shows and your roll tracker was being bugged or hit by other people or something like that.
Yeah.
Why are you using a roll tracker that somebody else can manipulate?
Well, here's the thing. I made the roll tracker for myself, and it's just a website. So it's a web application that I wrote. And as you know, you can do roll tracker, link to it, ! account equals your account name. I figured, who's going to jump into my account and monkey with my rolls? I'll give you one too. Anybody can have a copy of the roll tracker. And there's no password to it. But yeah, people figured out that I was using account equals CC for coffee and craps, and they're rolling along with me and typing in their rolls. They aren't trying to mess me up. They're just putting their rolls in. And it's like, wait a minute, I rolled a 7 or a 6. Why is there a 4 up there? And I realized somebody else is playing along with me. God, it's I didn't do a good job as a coder putting a password on that, but I thought, what the hell? It's just, And the roll tracker is very, very John specific. Like, it tracks things that I care about, like the graphs or things that I'm tracking, not anybody else would ever care about. So it's not really for everybody, but it helps me with the show.
You say John specific. I thought you meant it rolls a lot of 7s.
No. No, but for example, yeah, right. Now there's a tracker on that thing that tracks face. There's a whole face control screen that roll track or bone tracker has one too. My face control is literally looking at 6s and 1s. Yeah, I wrote that piece of the app just for my nighttime tracking rolls, not for everybody else to track their stuff. It's just really just for me.
Wow. You just reminded me of something, John. I don't know if you saw that or not, but Dave Carlin has a second channel, and it's called Rolling with Dave or something along those. He's got his new setup that his camera follows him from one end of the table to the other end of the table. Technology was there. Just my room that I'm in is too small. That's really unique. So what we want you to do for Coffee and Craps in the morning is we want to follow you around the table, back on the backside, coming back over, get you a big 44-inch screen monitor so you can read all the chats from real time.
If you saw my setup now that the table's behind me over here, the chat is so far away, and when I screw the roll track, it's like an 11 or 12 foot walk around the table back to the thing. It's a disaster now. It's so hard to manage my show in the morning than it was before. Like, my room is more comfortable because not quite so squeezed in, but man, it's hard to get all the controls to work. It's just, this is hard. You guys don't know how hard this is to get a show like mine put together.
Did somebody else have a question for John? Because we have one final question before we go into the post show. I got a question from Durso. We're going to hit. Yep, go ahead.
So I'm one of those people who figured out John's roll tracker, and I think it was Friday night fights last week we were having all the technical difficulties, and I kept asking, like, hey, what's the account name for this? Because I could sit here and handle that technical part of putting the rolls in. And I didn't know if Chris from Dice
Station.
Dice Station was in there actually putting them in or not. And so that's one kind of advantage to it is that somebody else can put those rolls in for you.
Oh, sure.
And
I just
and
give you the link to do it, and I can give it to you too. Yeah.
Yeah. The other question I have is what are you going to do for the daily paycheck this week? Because I was going to say you should play the one as it's supposed to be played, and just
I'm literally texting Waylon right now. I've got a text message screen going with Waylon. I'm like, should I do the one this week? And I'm like, I think I want to wait 1 week for it. I want to more myself and get more of the hang of it. The thing is, the one is the hot strategy right now, so it seems like, hey, let's do the one. I could do it this week. I actually thought about it. I asked him if it was okay with him if I did it. I may do it. I may do that one. It's either going to be the one or it's going to be the southern border. One of those two is going to be the one this week.
Yeah, I make the paycheck every time I play it. So if you play it with the $4,000 to $6,000 bankroll and just go for 500, you're there. So I think it would be pretty neat. Screw all the
I think it can withstand five. There's no controversy at all around it. To me, it's a strategy that either works fantastically or it fails miserably. And like I have lost the 5,000 a couple times with it. On a miracle bad run, but 90% of the time you're going to make that paycheck pretty quick. And if you're disciplined enough to walk, get that, that's the whole point of that show is kind of make $500 and go away. And we've done 20 episodes now. I've done 4 weeks of it. And on all but 3 days, I've been out of there in 15 minutes with $500. Like 3 or 4 days, had a
That's gone again.
You guys keep talking. I've lost the audio.
We lost audio.
Yep.
John, I think.
Yeah, we lost John.
Yep.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yep, we should all be here now. Sorry about that, guys. I lost the audio in my ear. Everybody
Go ahead,
here,
John.
right?
No, I'm back. My headphones stopped out.
Yeah, we lost you.
I just did mine too.
We lost you at the point of that whole strategy.
My little Power Beats Pros didn't quite make it.
Yeah, same thing.
Neither did mine. So
yeah, we
let's
lost
go
you
ahead
at
and
the point of that whole strategy, John. That's where we lost you at.
Oh yeah, I think that strategy it's a fun one. I have gotten beat on it a few times. Right, I've played and lost the whole 5K a couple times, but by and large, I'm out of there with $500 in 10 minutes. That strategy just works at the $100 level. It works really, really good. As long as you're doing your math and you know what's on the felt and in your rack, you can be out of there quick with that thing. So I think it may be this week or next week. I may let it settle because the one is everywhere right now, and that's good for Waylon and for the strategy. Let's let it run its course, and then I'll come in next week and run it 5 days in a row, and let everybody kind of have their fun tweaking it, playing with it. And I'll watch all those videos, and then I'll come out next week and just do it as a full strategy. This week I may do something different.
So
Waylon's tweaked it. Go ahead.
Who was that?
Craig.
I said Waylon had tweaked it.
He did. And I actually wrote to him, and I said, you know what? I said, I get the fact that FOMO has led everybody to do, hey, let's do the one with the Iron Cross or the one with the inside ladder. And I wrote him, I said, Waylon, like the one is great because of the math of the one, right? Those bets pay 2 to 1. The math works perfectly. When you start putting other shit into it, then you start diluting it. And like let it work on its own thing. And it's like playing the dark side. You gotta let your patience be okay. Like, okay, that sucks that we missed out on a 17 roller. So what? When the next comes, I'm making $1,200.
Hey, look who's here!
Right,
look who's here!
He had to cut his hair. What the?
We have a sideshow. We have a sideshow gamble.
We have a sideshow going on.
Awesome.
We were just talking
Hey,
about
Chris,
you,
how you doing, pal? Yeah.
I'm doing good, guys. I'm doing
That's
good. Just
awesome. Good to see you.
had a few minutes to. I saw that you guys were on. I'm just getting up, getting ready to start the day. So I wanted to jump in and say hey to everybody. Miss you guys. It's don't worry, something soon's coming for you guys. But yeah, I'll be back stateside here soon. So just want to say hey real quick.
Yeah, stay safe.
Be safe.
Good to see you, Sideshow.
My roomie here. Say good morning.
It's all right. Let me put that back up there.
Sounds like George or something.
All right.
All right, guys.
We're thinking about you.
Guys.
See you, Chris.
Let's go to the. Yep. Thanks, Chris, for stopping in. We were talking about you. That's why your ears must have been burned. Let's go for the last question of the day, and we're going to talk about this, and maybe we'll go into the after show after that, because I think Chuck looks like he might be ready to get off, and a couple other people here may have some things to do as we're pushing that 2.5 hour again. So the question from Duraso is, what do you do when the short game gets hit? So let's go to somebody that's got some experience. Oh, look. I think I saw Alfredo go like this. Alfredo, you can start that question and answer out if you want to.
It's pretty simple. You walk, right? Like you don't go to the ATM. You don't do what you say that you're not going to do. You have to stay disciplined. If you're ever going to mitigate your losses, because you've had issues, with getting gains in craps, the only way that you ever do that is if you're as disciplined as Arnell, and you have your limits, and you need to know when it is that it's gone. Every strategy, no matter who tells you what, can lose and will lose. It's just you have to have the right convergence of what should happen within the strategy that you're rolling. And when you hit that mark, you need a lead. If it's 40%, you're over it, lead. And you're going to be in a much better spot. And you'll see more consistent wins. But if you keep saying, oh, one more, well, that's how you end up losing big.
I have a two-parter real quick, because off of what Alfredo just said, this is the first time that I've ever seen Waylon put in a video, check your bankroll as you're going. Check it multiple times if you have to, because you may not recognize that you've already met your win goal. And my follow-up question to that goes back to just was something I was about to ask John. Have the veterans of this panel ever seen, or when's the last time a strategy was this hot for a 48-hour period?
It's happened. Yeah.
I haven't
Yeah. There's been multiple ones. If you ask me to name one, I'm not going to be able to now. Yeah.
The 66 did it for a while.
Yep.
The Perpetual Press did it for a while, where we were all running it.
Coin Pusher, several of them.
The Coin Pusher,
Stuff from Greg from 555.
The horse.
Velveteen Rabbit.
Yeah. I think the other thing that people really have to realize, if you don't have 5,000 in your bankroll, if you don't have the bankroll to protect what it is that you're going to need to ladder up to, do not play a strategy. Yeah. You will get hurt in the casino because you don't have the bankroll to support the mathematics that are for that specific strategy. It's vital to understand that. You will get hurt going to the casino level, if you don't have that bankroll.
And bankroll is the critical, especially for all of us who love Waylon strategies. They're great strategies, but you got to have bankroll to do it. Not all of us rolling up to a 10K, which is what you need sometimes to last at the levels he plays at. But at Bubble Craps, right, where your minimum spread is $5, you can do it. $250 at a Bubble Craps table is like $25,000 at a real table if you're playing at the dollar level. And if you scale things back to that way, you can play any strategy you want. And the enormous bankroll scaled back to $1 or $5 at those tables can be done. But you're right. Be careful running out there with $100, negative progression at a regular table with $1,000 bankroll. You can't do it, right? You can't do. You got to be wise about that. Yeah.
What I was going to do is go into the after show and talk about the one. I didn't want to specifically to dominate that part of the question here, but the question was on a short stack, and I think Alfredo's answer was really good. There's a couple more questions that came up for Chuck before he says goodbye, and we head into the after show that I would like to get to. And I think we'll even talk about the short game in the after show. So if you guys want to join us in the after show, just hit the Zoom link down below. Don't go away because I got to let you in. It just takes me a few minutes to get out of the show and get in there. Blackburn has a question here for Chuck that goes back to Crowley, and that is, it's already been asked, but the team participating in CRAPS, is it going to participate in the CRAPS for the Cure event? Is CRAPS in any way associated or going to do anything for the Cure for the CRAPS for the Cure?
Yeah, I won't be in Vegas at that time. I'm actually scheduled to be in Vegas in December, so I won't be in Vegas, but definitely something that maybe we can talk about, John. If we can help in any way, that'd be great. As of course, like probably 100% of the panel, everyone's associated or touched by this cause. So including myself. So it'd be great to chat about it. But I won't be at the event in November. But I can be there in spirit for sure.
Yeah, I wrote you an email on this too. I'd like to have you involved in some capacity, even for a segment, talk through it and whatever else, and we can do a whole V2 talk if you want to live. And of course, we're at Casino Quest. You got David there as well, so I think the natural to have you part of the event for sure.
Right. One final thing here before you're still here. So says you can't switch back and forth through. He says disconnects from the server. I think what he's doing, he's on one device, and when you switch out of that device back to the other device, we talk about the sockets getting lost with how your game works, whether you're using the app or whether you're using the Windows app or the URL.
You lose focus on your iPhone, Like if I'm playing Craft and a text message comes in, I lose my game. That kind of sucks.
Yeah, definitely iPhone's the hardest one with that. There's issues with any device, even on the web. There's issues with the socket. Obviously, if you game at one point, your connection server is going to be lost at one point. There's no way that we can keep a pipe open to the server indefinitely. So it's going to have to close. Some close more. So things that affect that closing is your connection. If there's a very slow internet connection, you'll lose the socket quicker. The other thing that affects it is the device. So app is we're moving from app to app. So if you're in Crapsy, if you leave and come back, the socket could close on you quicker. The Android is not as bad. I have an old BlackBerry, believe it or not, and my Android isn't as bad. When I'm testing on that, it's pretty good. I'm sure I'm the only one with a BlackBerry here, so that's not as bad. And then the web version, I'm switching back and forth between screens all the time now. I have a really good internet connection where I am, and I don't lose. I'll come back to the screen when I hear the dice being called, so I'll move back and I don't lose that. So what happens when you lose the socket, and the socket that means your pipe to the server closes, so no message goes from your device to the server. And you'll notice that if your chips haven't turned green, means the server hasn't received your bets. So when no more bets is called, if your chips haven't turned green, the server hasn't received your bets. They haven't gotten there. So again, things that can affect that, obviously internet connection can affect that. It's a very small packet that's sent to the server, but it can affect it. And then switching back and forth, it's just tough. It's a tough battle to win with that.
Yeah, I think, Chuck, when you and I talked about I have an Android phone that I typically, when playing with Big AZ and watching his show and playing in Crapsy, I don't have any problem switching back between the Crapsy app on the Android and the YouTube keeps it closed in a big window. I pop on YouTube, I type in the chat, I come back over. I don't lose it on the Android product. So Blackburn, kill your background noise, or somebody that had that. I'm not sure who that was that had the background on. But Chuck, we appreciate you being here. Stay to the show. We're going to head into the after show and talk about the short stack and the wands. If you want to join us, come on over into the Zoom chat. Everybody that will hang in there. Looks like the Green Bay Buffalo game is almost over with. It hasn't refreshed yet. So we're going to end this tonight, guys, right at the 2 hour and 30-minute mark. So before we get out of here, I want to give Chuck a thank you for you. Do you have any closing words that you would like to share with this group here?
Oh, well, thanks for inviting me on, Jeff. Really appreciate it. Like I said, I love talking craps. I love talking crapsy as well, of course, but just talking craps is great. It's great. So just really appreciate you being on, and thank you everyone for the support of the app and development, and we're going to keep pushing.
All right. Well, there's his email support coming up there one more time, guys, support@crapsy.com, and I can tell you that he will get back to you. So, guys, we're going to head over to the after show. If you want to come and join us, you can. I'm going to kick it over to my, oops, he's that way, to my sidekick, Dylan, who's been sitting there so patiently today. He's the creator of the show. Dylan, you're going to have the final word before we get out of here and head to the after show, and we're going to talk about the short stack and the wand. If you want to join us, come join us, and we'll see you. The date for the next one is not set because it's going to coincide with the event of the Craps for the Cure in November. So we're not quite sure whether we're going to go the week of the 12th because I have an event that day myself. So with that said, Dylan, the show tonight, 18th. What do you think?
Oh, it was fantastic. Can't say enough about all the participants here, and just another powerful show. On my agenda, for a really quick note, my brother has invited me to go to an Indian casino on the border of Iowa and Missouri up north, and it's going to be he said this Indian reservation has a $5 table, so I'm going to be saving my money probably at the end of November, beginning of December, something like that. So that's something that I can, save a little bit here and there, and go trip up there, going up with my brother up there. So he's invited me, and I'm chomping at the bit. Haven't been to a casino in a while, so I'm looking forward to going to that. So that's what's going on my little neck of the woods. But everything else is great. So thank you all again for coming and visiting us here at Craps Chat. We all appreciate your all thoughts and ideas, and welcome you to come and join the show next time. And we'll leave it at that. And thank you, Jeff, for hosting. I appreciate it. Have a great one.
The only thing, I appreciate that. Dial is the creator. I'm the producer. We get the panel on here. We had a great panel tonight. Sorry that we kind of dominated it with Crapsy, but I thought that was really important since we have the man, the myth himself here, Mr. Support himself. Chuck was with us tonight, and I thank him for that. So, John, I'm going to close out with this. We have a request from Crapsy. Okay, and then I'm going to hit them here, guys. I'm going to hit the button. We're going to go into the after show. Everybody just stay where you are. I'll be back probably in about 60 seconds. So there it is. Craig from Old Bay wants to know, can you do the coffee and craps rollout as Jim Nance? Is that possible, John?
I can do that, yeah. Okay, here he goes. He's going to... that 3D work. What's he going to do? Like, yeah, totally. Yeah, we'll just...
You got to tie in CBS at some point.
The three
just do the
masters,
the right
like
that gray jacket. Yeah, totally.
A tradition like no other.
All right, guys, that's my little fun. Until I don't know when the next show is going to be, so get over to casinogaming.tv, get on the Discord. You'll see it in there when we'll post it. Arnell got his shows in there. We've got the Coffee and Craps. There's the Friday Night Fights. There's the Fantasy. There's all kinds of things in there. Get to the Discord. You can find out those things. John does a good job on Coffee and Craps telling us when the next one's going to be. So if you're in this morning show, he'll let you know we're going to do it, guys. I appreciate everybody being here. Don't anybody go here. We'll be back in a second. We'll see you in a little bit. On behalf of Dylan and myself, guys, as always, please be safe and play smart.